Good evening, and thank you for joining us for our election night live here on Merrimack TV. Lynn Christensen, the town's moderator, just declared that the polls are closed. She did one last, she asked the room if there was anyone who was present that hadn't voted yet and that was signed in. There was no one here waiting in line or anything, so she declared the polls closed right at just about a minute past 7, I'd say. Looks like the last ballot had just been put into the machine. And as you can see, we have some volunteers who are working here tonight. There's some people that have been here since this morning. My name is Nicholas LaValle. I'm the Town of Merrimack's Media Services Coordinator. And I'm very proud and excited to bring you our election night live. So we will have our election coverage of this midterm election. And we'll await any announcement from the town moderator. And while we wait for announcements from the town moderator, we're going to bring you a series of video packages that we've prepared for you. Some of this content you may have seen on Merrimack TV on our cable channels. You may have seen it on our YouTube channel as well. And if you don't already subscribe to Merrimack TV on YouTube, please do so. Just go to youtube.com/Merrimack TV, hit that subscribe button. The Town of Merrimack's media division is branded Merrimack TV. The division is funded by way of franchise fees from Comcast cable subscribers here in Merrimack. The Town of Merrimack has a community TV facility located at 6 Babusick Lake Road in the Town Hall complex. Our cable channels reach over 8,000 homes, and we're accessible online at merrimacktv.com. and on streaming devices as well. So you can watch Merrimack TV from anywhere in the country on a Roku, Apple TV, or Amazon Fire TV device. All you have to do is download a free app called Cablecast Screenweave, and you can search. You'll see many other community access TV channels as well. You'll find Merrimack TV, and it's another way to watch our channels. We ask that you follow us on social media, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Stay informed with Merrimack TV. You're watching Merrimack TV, your community, your voice. And before, and the first package that you're going to see tonight, you're going to see a couple different things. You're going to get to see an episode of our Become Involved series. This one is with the Conservation Commission. It's hosted by one of our town councilors, Andy Hunter, and his guest on that episode is the chair of the Conservation Commission, Steve Perkins. Just before that, you're going to see a performance of Moonglow from the Merrimack High School Chorus, led by the chorus director, R.J. Beck. But first, let's take a look at one of our community channel shows. The gentleman you're about to see has been producing a community channel show for, well, over 20 years now on Merrimack TV. He's taped well over 300 programs. He edits the program in the basement at his house, and you're gonna get to know him in this Merrimack Moment segment. So let's take a look at this Merrimack Moment with Outdoors with Bob.
Merrimack TV's community channel has been around for over 2 decades. A lot has changed over the years, but one thing has stayed constant: the longest-running show on the channel, Outdoors with Bob.
Welcome to another edition of Outdoors with Bob. And today we're at the Killam Bear Center in Lyme, New Hampshire. And my special guest is Mr. Ben Kilham, who is the owner, operator, and bear rehabilitator. Ben, welcome to Outdoors with Bob.
Well, thanks for having me.
Bob LaRue has been around the block. Aside from being a longtime resident of Merrimack, he was also a state representative for over 20 years. With a job like that, it makes sense that the original media services coordinator for the town would reach out to get him to produce a show.
And I told him I wasn't interested in being politically active or working in politics all day and doing it again at night, so I told him no.
But there's a topic Bob was interested in producing a show about: the great outdoors.
I've always been an outdoors person. I mean, I've hiked and I fished and I canoed and hunted, did all kinds of stuff involved with the Scouts. So I've always been an outdoor person and that type of thing. So anything outside interests me. I love to do animal programs. That's my favorite, really. We've done red deer program, and people say a red deer. Yeah, there is such a thing in New Hampshire. There's a herd of red deer in Plymouth, New Hampshire. There's over 500 of them.
The show has brought Bob all over the state, from sea level to over 5,000 feet, making friends with many different people, but also bear cubs and even buffalo.
Can I try that?
Feeding him?
Yeah.
Absolutely. You want to get slimed?
Well, I don't care about being slimed. I just want to come. I want to go in with 5 fingers and come back with 5 fingers.
Yeah, there's no top teeth, so you can't. You might be able to squeeze your hand a little bit, but it's really.
They really just wrap their tongue around it, so.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, sure. Right down in there. Sure. Go ahead.
He's collected plenty of souvenirs from his adventures, like moose hooves and even a skull. But as for his favorite episode, Bob says that it's difficult to choose just one.
To me personally, all the programs that we've made were very special because of the people in it and what they brought to the people of Merrimack. Whether it was miniature donkey rides or working with the Fish and Game Department on stocking trout. But the one program, the longest program we ever produced was on preserving the old man of the mountain. Now that was a total a 5-hour program, and what was unique about that is that we have some footage of the old man and the repairs that had never been filmed before, and we have stories we can go on forever on that. And then, unfortunately, we had to go back after May 3rd, to the remains of the old man. So we have the two together. So that was a close program because it meant a lot not only to us as people from New Hampshire, but the residents and everybody related to the old man of the mountain.
Despite it being outdoors with Bob, it's never been a one-man show. He always emphasizes how none of this would be possible without many different friends, his Mara Vikings crew, helping with the over 300 episodes. One essential team member, who, in his words, is his top assistant, biggest helper, and his biggest fan, is his wife, Fran, who's been there since the show's beginning.
I thought he was a little bit off his rocker, and he got me involved in it. And at that time, we didn't know what we were doing. We had no comprehension of anything. And when he needed graphics, I'd go on the internet, download pictures that I thought he'd be interested in, then put them on a disc so he could have them to try and put them on his video. If he's working on his videos, which he has a computer upstairs, his personal one, the film computer downstairs. Downstairs, he's a whiz. Upstairs, forget it. It's, Fran, come here, what's wrong with my computer? But I never hear boo out of him when he's downstairs editing a film.
Consistently editing the longest-running community channel program in Merrimack gets you pretty acquainted with the production process, and pretty acquainted with the town's media division. The division used to be back at the high school, and Bob would rent out a camera and edit his footage at the school. Now, Bob has his own studio and equipment in his basement, and submits the finished product for airing on the community channel. The show has spanned multiple generations of Merrimack TV, and for current media services coordinator Nicholas LaValle, Bob has been a constant.
Bob may have very well been the first resident I met when I was first hired by the town of Merrimack, what seems like a lifetime ago. Bob's commitment to producing his program truly shows how community can be built through media. It's outstanding what he's done in terms of documenting the state with his show, and oftentimes he has zeroed in on parts of capturing Merrimack's history and culture as well.
Bob and his Mara Vikings crew have been there for a lot of Merrimack's history. For example, they documented the community reaction to 9/11, and that experience inspired them to capture the Christmas lights around town, bringing holiday cheer to those who couldn't go out to see the lights themselves. That idea of bringing a unique experience into someone's home has always been at the heart of the show, too.
I hope that over the course of the years that we were able to bring something to people that they didn't have the opportunity to see before. or why are things done a certain way? Like the old man, why? How was he preserved? You know, what did they do to preserve him? You know, it's fascinating things.
With so many interesting topics and people over the years, it's difficult to choose a favorite part of Outdoors with Bob. But for Fran, it's easy.
Bob, of course. But I'm always looking to see where his next adventure is going to be. I hope it lasts another 20 years. Because I know he enjoys it. He really enjoys it.
And it's safe to say that everyone at home enjoys it too. From all of us at Merrimack TV, thank you for your dedication to community media. And we look forward to the next 20 years and 300 more episodes. Thanks for watching.
We'll be singing the jazz standard Moon Glow, really dense jazz harmonies all the way throughout it. And we're accompanied by Trey Grant on the piano. Chase Warren on the drum set. And Nadia Harold on the bass. A one, two, a one, two.
Say yes to Thank you for joining us today on Become Involved, a series focused on the town's committees and boards. I am Andy Hunter, the Town Council representative to the Conservation Commission. Today I'm joined by the Chair of the Conservation Commission, Steve Perkins. Steve, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Andy.
Can you start off by telling us a little bit about what the Conservation Commission does?
I certainly can. The Conservation Commission is responsible for the natural and watershed resources of the town. Those include, obviously our rivers and our streams, our forest lands, our wildlife habitats, open spaces, and those drinking water resources in the town. Another thing that the Conservation Commission does is we review any projects that are proposed to take place in either the Aquifer Conservation District or those wellhead protection zones. We also receive and review dredging and digging and fill permits from the New Hampshire Department of Environmental Science or Environmental Services. We review those and provide our feedback either to the Planning Board and or the New Hampshire DES for their consideration and action.
So you mentioned town-owned land. Can you tell me how many parcels the Conservation Commission manages?
We can. We're incredibly fortunate here as residents of Merrimack. We have nearly 1,600 acres of conservation land. Most of those acres are on 8 major parcels. Those parcels include Wildcat Falls, Horse Hill Nature Preserve, Greater Woods, Watkins Forest Area, Mitchell Woods, Fields Farm, Gilmore Hill, and Scholar Waterfront Park.
That's a lot of parcels. How does the Conservation Commission, how do they manage all of those parcels as one commission?
We certainly don't do it alone. We're lucky. We get a lot of help in that. Primarily, we have 4 of those parcels, Greater Woods, Wildcat Falls, Horse Hill Nature Preserve, and Scholar Waterfront Park have subcommittees. These subcommittees are incredibly tireless, incredibly generous with their time. They do all the heavy lifting. They are really the boots on the ground. They act as the stewards of those properties. They give us feedback. They meet regularly. They collect feedback and give it to the Conservation Commission. If they need something, they ask us for it, or they just give us ideas how to make those properties more user-friendly for the groups of people that use them. I also would want to mention that we have an extensive network of organizations or groups that do a lot of work on these properties. Those include the New England Mountain Bike Association, Fish and Game. The litter crew helps us whenever we need cleanup. They do a lot of that. Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts of America. If you've been on any of our parcels, you've seen their work out there. They've done some great things, from the observation decks to the selfie stands. The outdoor classroom at Greater Woods is simply phenomenal. They've done some great work. Moosewood Ecological, the National Resource and Planning Council, and also the Salhegan River Local Advisory Committee, just to name a few, and I'm sure I forgot somebody. But
yeah, a lot of helping hands.
Yeah, we're incredibly grateful for all the work they do out on these properties.
So if residents want to get involved with one of these subcommittees or want to know more about the Conservation Commission, where can they go to find out more?
The best place to start, obviously, the town, we have Merrimack Conservation Commission has a link on the town website, but we also have www.merrimackoutdoors.org, and that's probably the best place to start. It certainly has our schedules, our upcoming events. There are links, a lot of links on there, different trail maps and so forth. So anyone that wants to get on there and just check out what's happening and how to be involved, that's probably the best place to start.
So if a citizen does want to become involved, are there certain requirements or skills that they have to have in order to assist with one of the subcommittees or the Conservation Commission?
That's a good question, and the best part about that is absolutely not. We have a full commission now, yourself, and 9 other members, 6 full-time members, and 3 alternates. We come from a variety of backgrounds, have a variety of different interests and expertise, and skilled in different things. Really, the only common denominator, the only thing we all have in common is we just wanted to give something back and be involved in the community that we live in. We do meet regularly. Our terms generally end in June, and we're staggered a little bit. So some of our, some members, we're fortunate that we have a lot of members that are on multiple terms. They've really been on the Conservation Commission for a long time. But when terms open up, the process is simple, where anyone interested could, in joining a subcommittee or the Conservation Commission, just submits their letter of interest and, meets with us and ultimately is approved or appointed by the town council.
Yeah. So besides managing the town's conservation land, are there other things the Conservation Commission does for the town of Merrimack?
We have our hands in a few other things. I think what most of the commission members find most rewarding is that outreach portion. So we do a lot of things. We've invited Moosewood Ecological to come out and do some workshops and some vernal pool walks and stuff in the spring. Those have been well attended. Those are certainly enjoyable. We participate at the Winter Carnival. That's always a great event. We've recently commissioned and had completed a wetland study that just told us, gave us better ideas of where we should focus some of our passion and efforts. And perhaps our biggest event is the annual seedling giveaway that we, in fact, that's coming up. That's in a few weeks here. That'll be on Saturday, May 7th. Courier Farms lets us host it at their facility there on Peasley Road. And we usually give out about 450 seedlings that we purchase with Conservation Commission funds through the state nursery program.
So you mentioned the Conservation Commission is currently full. If there's other areas that folks would like to volunteer, what are some of the other ways they can volunteer for the Conservation Commission?
Certainly, with any of the subcommittees, and I should mention too, I'm glad you bring that up, the subcommittees all also post their schedules, their upcoming events are on the website. But they do a lot of things, and they're always looking for some, for additional hands, whether it be cleanup days or trail maintenance. Oftentimes, if you've been out on these parcels, they're all wooden bridges. The lifespan of those wooden bridges it's finite, so sometimes those do need to be rebuilt, and so forth. So, all those activities, we're always looking for interested volunteers.
Thank you for joining us today, Steve. And thank you for joining us on Become Involved. If you'd like to learn more, remember to visit the town's website at merrimacknh.gov. And remember, become involved.
And that was our Become Involved series. Conservation Commission episode of our Become Involved series, hosted by Town Councilor Andy Hunter with the chairman of the Conservation Commission, Steve Perkins. Before that, we saw the MHS Chorus performing Moonglow. An excellent performance by our chorus, led by R.J. Beck, the chorus director at Merrimack High School. And the first clip that you saw tonight was a Merrimack Moment segment featuring Bob LaRue and his Outdoors with Bob program. Bob has produced his community channel show for well over 20 years on Merrimack TV. And if you're interested in recording a show on Merrimack TV, we'd love to have you. Just email merrimacktv@merrimacknh.gov, and either myself or our Assistant Media Services Coordinator, Justin Sles, will get back to you. It's very easy to produce an in-studio program. You could book 1 hour of studio time to create up to a 57-minute program. Generally, most of our community channel shows run between 20 and 27 minutes or so, but if you wanted to have a 5-minute show, you could do that as well. Merrimack TV truly is this is your community and it's your voice. We've got a whole slate of community channel programs right now, and we value all of the programs that are submitted by your neighbors, Merrimack residents and nonprofit groups that serve Merrimack. So thank you, Bob LaRue, for your 2 decades of community channel programming, over 300 shows. Another very prolific community channel host is Janine Nodder, who has over 400 programs on the channel, on Chatting with Janine. and one of our newer shows, hosted by Dan Bollier, called Let Freedom Ring. He's well over 100 shows now. But we'd love to see you become involved and maybe have a show on the community channel, so send us an email. I'm Nicholas LaValle, the Town of Merrimack's Media Services Coordinator. We are live from the James Mastrocola Upper Elementary School here in Merrimack. And right now what you see is the gymnasium where voting took place today. On the screen is Lynn Christensen, the town moderator. And we are awaiting any kind of announcement from Lynn Christensen. Myself and my staff, as I mentioned before, Justin Slez, our Assistant Media Services Coordinator, and Colin Marr, our Media Assistant. We will stay up till midnight with you tonight if we need to. If there's any kind of announcement from the town moderator earlier than that, we'll get those announcements on and just try our best to keep you informed. Merrimack TV is the Town of Merrimack's media division. It's branded Merrimack TV. We're a division that's funded by way of franchise fees from Comcast Xfinity cable subscribers here in Merrimack. The Town of Merrimack has a community TV facility located at 6 Babusick Lake Road. Our cable channels reach over 8,000 homes. And we're also accessible at merrimacktv.com. So if you're not watching on cable, you could be watching on a website, merrimacktv.com, on a web browser, rather. We're also streaming. So you can actually download Cablecast ScreenWeave, which is a free app that's available on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire devices. And you can watch Merrimack TV that way, on your big screen, on your streaming device. Pretty cool. We're going to stay up with you until midnight. We might sign off earlier than that, pending announcements from the moderator. And while we wait for any kind of announcement, we've put together some special programming, some highlights from Merrimack TV. And we're going to show you another video package in just a moment. But first, I want to let you know that the Town of Merrimack is hiring. Working for the Town of Merrimack offers the opportunity to serve the community while working in a professional and fulfilling environment. The Town of Merrimack recognizes that it's our employees who drive our success by meeting the needs of our residents every day. We offer a stable, professional work environment with competitive wages and an excellent benefits package. Current positions include police officers, mechanics, equipment operators, and more. For complete information about employment with the town, please visit the town website at www.merrimacknh.gov. While we await for any pending announcements from the town moderator, we'd love to show you some special Merrimack TV programming. In just a few moments, you're going to see an episode of our Become Involved series. In particular, this is going to be an episode about the planning board. It features Town Councilor Barbara Healy interviewing the chairman of the planning board, Mr. Bob Best. Before that, you're going to be treated by the Merrimack High School Jazz Band performing Get It On. But first, let's take a look at our other community TV producers in this Merrimack moment.
Merrimack TV is a platform for mass communication with your community, from our local government's meetings, to high school sports, to video content created by residents. That's why we call our public access channel our community channel. Anyone who lives in town can have a show on Merrimack TV. And for Community Media Day, we want to highlight some of your neighbors who consistently produce a show in the community studio at Town Hall. To start, here's Tina Hurley, a longtime Merrimack resident and one of our more recent producers, explaining why she decided to start her show, Less Leg, More Heart.
I thought, what a beautiful opportunity for my organization, Less Leg, More Heart, which I am the founder of and executively direct. It helps people in the community with disabilities. And I thought, what a great platform this could be to not just gain some local exposure, to be able to have the opportunity to help more people that might need us, but also to get out some messages. We have so much perspective in the disabled community, and there's so many stories that are inspirational, and there's the good and the bad and the ugly about living life different, and I want to share that and bring that forward for what it does for the community to enhance folks' journey. Because if you're someone that doesn't have a disability, it makes you feel empowered that you can, because you have limbs or you have the ability to use your spinal cord. And if you're somebody out in the community that might have a challenge doing things, you know that you're not alone.
Dan Bolio has always wanted to get his voice out there, starting with a blog back in 2012. His friend Leo invited him to guest on his public access show in Nashua, and from there, Dan realized he wanted to make his own show as a resident of Merrimack. Let Freedom Ring covers a wide variety of topics, from wrestling to softball to music. But for Dan, it's all about his guests and his audience.
We want to focus on what the guest is all about, whether they're a weightlifter, they're a wrestler, they're a comedian, they're a cook, whatever it is their passion is or what's it about them, we focus on that. But we also like to have interaction with our audience as well. So we will post to Facebook, and not only do I come up with some of the questions for the show, but I've also allowed my audience to be able to have someone on the show and ask a question that they might have as well.
That sort of audience interaction is a great way to get your name out in the community. In fact, it can sometimes lead to over a decade in the State House, as it did for Representative Janine Nodder, who started out as a local mom and grew alongside her show.
I've been married over 30 years, we'll just put it at that. I have 6 grown children, 2.5 little grandbabies. I'm a state representative. I'm running for my 7th term, and I'm the host of Chattin' with Janine. I started the show in 2006. I've been on Merrimack TV ever since. I was just interested in everything. I did shows on health and fitness, history, science. I had authors on the show. I really tried to have a different show, and I taped every week. And now I don't tape as often because I'm busy. I just didn't have time to do a lot of things. I had to get used to being a representative and trying to shuffle, my family life and my political life. And most of my contacts now are in politics. So that's why most of my guests are one way or the other related to the State House or politics one way or the other.
Talk shows are a popular format on the community channel, but it's definitely not the only one you can do. Take retired Merrimack High School history teacher Bill Souza, whose show is single shot, hosted solo, and gives him a platform to continue teaching.
It's like I'm back in the classroom. Well, I research everything. My heart goes right into it. I needed to have another audience. You always look for an audience, and so I have one. It's the town of Merrimack.
While being an audience member is a great way to get to know your neighbors, it's worth remembering that you, as a resident of Merrimack, can have a show too. Call us at 603-423-8561 or email merrimacktv@merrimacknh.gov. Thank you for watching.
We have first soloist will be Ross Corman O'Reilly on alto sax. Next will be Ruth Ellis on trumpet, Eris Corman O'Reilly on baritone sax, Trey Grant on trumpet, Jenny Epstein on alto sax, Ethan Whiten on trombone, Ian Cannon on tenor sax, and Evan Jalbert on guitar. So get it on.
Hi, and thank you for joining us today on Become Involved, a series that focuses on the boards and committees that are part of the town of Merrimack. I am Barbara Healy. I'm one of your town councilors, and I'm also the liaison to the planning board. With me today as our guest is Bob Best, who is the chair of the planning board and who's going to try to help us understand the function of the planning board and what it does. Bob, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, I'm glad to be here, Barbara. What can I help you with?
Well, you know, one of the questions we see a lot from people is, what does the planning board do? What's its purpose? And why does it approve everything?
Great questions. So the biggest, most important thing the planning board does is develop the master plan for the community. And you do that about once every 10 years. It takes a look at housing and transportation and natural resources and open space and the environment and infrastructure, and develops a master plan for what the vision of the community is. And the entire community can come be a part of that. That master plan is what guides us as we move on and we make decisions based on commercial developments and subdivisions. And we also get involved with the capital improvement plan for the town and for the school board. And we also would propose amendments to the zoning ordinance if those are appropriate.
Great. So in order to become a member on the planning board, do you need any special education, any kind of background in engineering or construction? Well, what does it take to be a member on the board?
No, you don't need any of that special training or special background, although a lot of members do have it. You need some interest and a passion and the willingness to do some homework and learn and read the materials that are provided to you and learn and read what our ordinances require and understand how to apply those. And everything else you'll learn as you go.
Okay, so no special training is needed?
None at all.
Okay, so when the board is meeting, how often does it meet and what are the types of things you're looking at?
Sure. Well, the planning board usually meets twice a month, although we can meet more often than that if there's a need. And sometimes a holiday will pop up and we'll have a little bit less than two a month. And at those meetings, the main two things that we look at are commercial site plans and residential subdivisions. And then there's also a collection of minor things that are less frequent that we will look at, like a home occupation, which means somebody's business that they do out of their home. We would also look at approving lot line adjustments and minor subdivisions that people have that they've got proposed for doing business in the town.
And help me understand, what is the difference between the planning board and the zoning board? Because a lot of times you hear those two mentioned almost in tandem with each other.
They are, and they're two of the main land use boards that municipalities have in New Hampshire, but their functions are very different. So the planning board takes a look at what our regulations are, and it sees how someone's proposal fits into it. Do they have enough parking? Is the building set back from the road the way that it should be and from the sidelines as it should be? Does it have the right lighting, and does it handle the rainwater drainage correctly? And that's kind of the aspects of a commercial site plan. And in a subdivision, you might look at how much road frontage somebody has and how big the lots are and whether there's any wetlands on the property. We use the zoning ordinance to do that, and we approve things when someone meets all of the standards in the zoning ordinance as well as our subdivision and site plan regulations. When you don't meet those regulations, but you want to move your project forward anyway, that's when you go to the zoning board and you ask their permission based on certain statutory criteria to vary from the rules. And if the zoning board approves that, they give you a variance, which allows you to depart from something that's in the zoning regulations. So we do quite different things. They look at what uses that you're going to do on the property and whether you're complying with all the regulations. And if you're not complying with them, they can give you some relief. We're much more technical in terms of the physically drainage and wetlands and traffic flow, and are the parking spaces big enough and are the roads wide enough and all of those kinds of details.
I know that's been one of the things I had to get used to, was looking at these great big maps, if you will, or plates the technical term, on what was being planned for the building and the surroundings. So it's been very interesting. So would you say for the last year, what's been your most challenging project that the board has been dealing with?
Well, you know, we've had quite a lot of apartment developments around town. There's 3 or 4 of them that are underway already, and a few others that are being proposed. And those always develop a lot of interest among people in the community because people are concerned about traffic, and they're concerned about the impact on the schools of bringing in more children, and they're concerned about the impact on taxes and police resources and fire resources. And so those always develop a lot of interest. Probably the one that's developed the most interest recently is the development in front of the Premium Outlet Mall at the base of the hill as you go in there, where there's a whole lot of residential development proposed, and then some need to do some commercial development along with it.
So is there anything else you'd like to tell us about the planning board?
Well, you know, the planning board, as most boards do, frequently has openings for people to come volunteer, and I encourage people to come down and see what we're doing. We have one vacant alternate position right now, and that varies from time to time. That's actually a pretty low vacancy rate. Usually we've got some full-time, full member positions available as well. Right now at the moment we don't, although that could change anytime. But come to the meeting and weigh in, or watch it on television and find out what it's about. You know, I see all the time that people are concerned, did somebody consider the traffic on this proposal? Did somebody consider the way this is going to impact the woods or the wetlands or the animals and things? And the answer is yes, we do. We do consider all of those things, but you wouldn't know unless you watch the meeting.
Right.
So
Right.
come and get engaged.
So Bob, thank you so much for coming today and telling us about the planning board and what its function is here in the town as far as all of the building and construction taking place. And thank you, Merrimack, for joining us today on Become Involved, a show that talks about the different boards and committees that take place here in the town of Merrimack. If you want to learn more about these committees and boards and any possible open positions, you can find that information on the Town of Merrimack website at merrimacknh.gov and become involved.
Thank you for joining us. You're watching Merrimack TV Election Night Live. I'm Nicholas LaValle, the Town of Merrimack's Media Services Coordinator. Joining me today is our media assistant, Colin Marr, who's running camera, and our Assistant Media Services Coordinator, Justin Slez, is back at Town Hall. And you just saw an episode of our Become Involved series with the Planning Board Chairman, Bob Best, being interviewed by Town Councilor Barbara Healy. Before that, you saw the MHS Jazz Band performing Get It On, led by the former band director, Patricia Cunningham. And we kicked off that video package with a Merrimack moment that featured our community TV producers, including Janine Nodder, Les Legmore Hart with Tina Hurley, Dan Bollier and his Let Freedom Ring program, and Bill Souza. Bill Souza's show. Bill Souza produces Straight Talk with Bill Souza. But I have a treat tonight. We have another Merrimack TV volunteer who just stopped by. He's one of our voices of the Tomahawks. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Ralph Carpentier. Ralph, how's it going?
It's going well, Nick. How are you today?
I'm good. We are never together on microphone.
We are not.
Normally, you're at the Town Hall TV studio with Justin.
We are together, typically Justin, myself, and Dave Carter.
Dave is your your co-host. Well, maybe you're Dave's co-host.
That would probably be most accurate.
Right?
Yes.
Because you provide color commentary for the Tomahawks.
That's accurate. The Tomahawk football team, who's playing again, I believe, Saturday at 2 o'clock against Londonderry in the playoffs. So really excited to go check that out myself, actually, as a fan.
There's actually a rumor that the game may have been moved to Friday.
Ooh.
I got a text from a parent whose son is on the team.
Okay.
And we were busy with getting ready for our election coverage. So that's an unconfirmed
all right.
rumor.
We got to take a look then.
We're going to have to look that up because I know that without a doubt, you're going to go see the Tomahawks.
As a
this
fan,
weekend.
yes, I will be going this weekend.
As a fan, you'll be seeing the Tomahawks play the Londonderry Lancers. Now, you've watched all the home games this season.
I have, yeah.
And what do you think about the 8th seeded team, the Tomahawks, going up against their first place team, the Londonderry Lancers? What's going to happen there?
Sure. I think it's going to be definitely a challenge for Merrimack. I think they have an opportunity to make some noise in this game. Londonderry, I would say, compares closely to Nashua North, who they played earlier this year, another top team in this tournament. It didn't go quite well for the Tomahawks that game, but they were missing some key players. I think you have a chance to really keep the ball rolling. They've now won, I believe, 3 games straight. So I do think this might be maybe upset Central this weekend.
Wow. Okay. All right. What were some standout moments for you when you were covering those Tomahawks games?
Absolutely, a really, really talented team. Some players we've seen for a few years. Players like Romello Hyde, who's been there since he was a sophomore, that we've been following, Dave and I. So that's really cool to see a young man grow up with the team and become a really, really talented player on both sides of the ball. Quarterback Trent Jackson, who has really developed into a strong player coming in there after a multi-year starter that he replaced in Kyle Crampton, who graduated last year. So a lot of great players, a lot of really exciting games, and a great coaching staff with Kip Jackson as well.
Yeah, it's exciting that the Tomahawks varsity football team are in the playoffs and that they're headed into the quarterfinals.
It is the quarterfinals.
So they'll be playing the quarterfinals this weekend. We're unsure if the game is Friday or Saturday. I received a text earlier today from one of the players' parents that said the game may have been moved to Friday, so we'll have to verify that. If you want to verify it for us, if you're watching this and you want to, and if you know for sure, hit us up at Merrimack TV on Facebook or on Twitter, and let us know. It'd be great. And if you're just tuning in, we're awaiting any kind of announcement from the town moderator. That's who you see on your screen right now. And while we await for announcements from the town moderator about today's midterm election, and really, we're awaiting any announcements, and that's really the most I can say about that. This is the Lynn Christensen show, and she's up there tabulating what needs to be tabulated. And around the room right now, you could see that there are volunteers who are here that are sorting ballots, and there's just a lot of activity in this room right now. So while we await for announcements, we're going to bring you another video package in a bit. I see right now that's the town clerk, Diane Trippett, who just walked over to the stage. That's our town clerk, Diane Trippett. She's probably had a very long day, as most of the volunteers who are here today have. And I can definitely say that there was a great voter turnout today, significantly more than for a town election. I should stress that the town and the school does have an election every April. We cover our live election coverage in April, and before that, in March, we always show our town and school deliberative sessions. But fortunately, we have this special guest who dropped by. He happened to be in the area as Ralph, who does the play-by-play football games on Merrimack TV with our friend Dave. And it's nice to see Ralph here. Ralph just giving us his insight and also his excitement.
I am very excited for the game.
Yeah, me too. It's kind of a David and Goliath situation going into the game this weekend, right, against the Londonderry Lancers?
Sure, it certainly is. I definitely think if you look at it on paper, that's something that you would determine just seeing that the number 1 seed is out there and Merrimack is in there as the 8th seed. But they're a scrappy team with a lot of talent, and anything can happen. It's one game, right? So that's what I'm excited to see this weekend.
Yeah, I hope that we see a Merrimack win, for sure. We'd love to see the Tomahawks.
Absolutely, that's where I am.
It's great that they got this far.
It is. It's really exciting. It was another great year covering the team. They are a bunch of really talented kids, and it's great to see just
led by Coach
Kip
Jackson.
Jackson,
That's right.
exactly, who has his kids ready every week. They're not only well, conditioned, but they are kids that study football and their academics. It's really awesome just to see, everything that goes into it, even the band as well.
Oh yeah, Friday night under the lights. You got to have the cheer team there. You've got the band doing their thing, and
Absolutely.
It's nice to see the student section back.
Oh yeah.
Because we did 2 seasons and there wasn't much of a student section because of limitations due to COVID. But it's great to see the student section back and that band. I mean, they're firing at all cylinders.
Absolutely, they get that. Led Zeppelin halftime show typically that we get to see.
Oh, that's great. Bunny, the band director, Bunny Serenita, does a fantastic job. I love the Led Zeppelin. I also love hearing the White Stripes and all the other kind of songs that they play bits and pieces of in between plays and stuff. So it's just such a great, and it's so awesome that you and Dave volunteer your time to do play-by-play on those Friday nights. I know that the so many people in the community are appreciative of you guys lending the time to do that. And, also, we get Andy Berkeley and Gary on the field who are kind of commentating behind you guys,
It's helpful.
It is super helpful. Well, also you're seeing, they're seeing it from a slightly different perspective. So if you go to youtube.com/Merrimack TV, you can see all the games that we covered this year. And we don't just cover sports for the high school. We also do chorus and concert bands. And you're going to see plenty of those clips tonight. So, Ralph, I wanted to thank you for stopping by. And I know Justin's back at the TV studio. He's probably psyched that you're here.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Really great to stop by and witness some more of the great work that Merrimack TV does.
Absolutely. And I guess we'll say go Tomahawks, right?
Go Tomahawks.
Go Tomahawks. So thanks for stopping by, Ralph. You're watching Merrimack TV Election Night live. That was Ralph, one of the voices of the Tomahawks, who dropped by here tonight to see exactly what our setup is here. It's very different than a football game. I could say that for sure. And right now we're going to take a look in this video package. We're going to take a look at our Become Involved series. The clip that you're going to see features Nelson Disco, who's the chairman of the Town Center Committee, and he's being interviewed by our town councilor chair, Finley Rothaus. Before that, you'll see a PSA about properly disposing your sharps at the Merrimack transfer station. And then you'll be treated from a performance of America the Beautiful from the Merrimack High School concert band. But first, let's take a look at Hot Dogs for ALZ, presented by Bob Bergen in this Merrimack moment.
As the summer solstice rolls around, the sun doesn't go down until well after 8 p.m. This was the inspiration for The Longest Day, a nonprofit encouraging people to use that light to fundraise and fight the darkness of Alzheimer's. In Merrimack, that takes the form of Hot Dogs for ALZ. Organizer Bob Bergen explained why he chose hot dogs.
It's a memory. Everyone knows ketchup, mustard, relish. Where were they? Who were they with? What kind of thing does it mean to them? And the important thing is Alzheimer's affects the cognitive memory, the capacity to understand things, to understand where things are in their life, where things aren't. And as I've worked in the field for 6 years, I understand a lot more now.
It couldn't have been a better day for hot dogs, too. Kids, grandparents, and everyone in between came out to enjoy the nice weather and raise money for a good cause. This was the first year with a drive-through option, too. Many local businesses also came out in support of the event, in addition to the town's fire department. Members of the town council volunteered their time to the cause, and even Governor Chris Sununu made an appearance and grabbed lunch with residents. Merrimack Town Manager Paul McCallie thanked him for coming by.
Mr. Sununu, thank you for coming to Merrimack.
Oh, thank you.
Appreciate you coming to this event and supporting the Alzheimer's event in Merrimack for the longest day.
I tell you, this event is awesome. I mean, every year, the sun just happens to come out. Every year, people flood out here. They put money into a great cause, thousands of hot dogs, and as you can tell, people are having a ball. It's going to be here all day. But this community just knocks it out of the park every single time. And we're able to sign a piece of legislation today, right here in Merrimack. that make sure that we're providing the right respite care with funds and money to make sure that we're addressing it. So still more work to do, to be sure, but I tell you, this community knocks it out of the park with the longest day program every single year.
In the 7 years of the event, they've raised over $35,000, and this year was another smash success. Alzheimer's may be dark, but as this event shows, when Merrimack comes together as a community, our light is pretty bright. Thank you for watching.
We're going to play what I consider the most beautiful arrangement of America the Beautiful, arranged by Carmen Dragon. I hope you enjoy it.
When you're taking out the trash, it's not always clear what goes where. Medical sharps, like insulin, can be especially tricky. While you can't throw them out with the rest of your trash, the Merrimack Transfer Station has you covered. Here's how to properly dispose of your household-generated sharps, courtesy of the NHDES. Enclose them in a rigid, puncture-resistant container, like a laundry detergent bottle. Securely tape the tightly screwed cap of the bottle with a heavy-duty tape, like duct tape. Label the container Medical Sharps Container, not for recycling. The NHDES also has a label you can tape to the container with clear packing tape on their website. After that, you can take your container of sharps to the Merrimack Transfer Station and staff will help you dispose of it. Remember, never throw loose sharps into the trash or toilet. Never leave sharps anywhere that they could injure someone. Never store used sharps in glass bottles, soda bottles, milk jugs, aluminum cans, coffee cans, or plastic bags. And never put containers with used sharps in a recycling bin. Thank you for disposing of your sharps safely, and thanks for watching.
Thank you for joining us today on Become Involved, a series focused on the community's boards and committees. My name is Finley Rothaus. I'm the Town Council Liaison to the Town Center Committee, and with me today is the Chairman of the Town Center Committee, Nelson Disco. Nelson, thank you for being with us today.
Well, thank you, Finley. It's a pleasure to be here and to talk about the Town Center Committee.
Very good. Well, let's go start with a good place to begin, and that's, could you explain what the committee's about and what its purpose is?
Well, the committee was formed about 10 years ago, Finley. It was chartered by the town council. We were established by the town council, and our charter was to implement the results of what was called at that time, the iTrack study that was performed by the National Regional Planning Commission for the town of Merrimack at the behest of the Merrimack Town Council. So that's what got us started, and we've been working at it ever since.
Very good. Would you be able to talk about the membership and what type of commitment might be entailed in being a member of the committee?
Yes, Finley, we have slots for 9 members, and right at the moment I think we have 8, and counting one that's a new volunteer. So we have a representative for the town council, which is yourself, of course. We have a representative from the SAU, Matt Chevenel. We have a representative from the Public Works Department, Kyle Fox. We have Nicholas LaValle. We're very fortunate to have him on board from the media group. And we have some other volunteer citizens. Karen Freed represents the Merrimack Public Library, and Karen Contos of Citizen at Large, representing the town of Merrimack. Also on the committee is Bill Cummings and Bill Wilkes.
So there's one more position that...
There's still an opening, yes.
Oh, very good. What type of experience or skills might be necessary in order to be on the committee?
Well, I would say all you need really is an interest in the town and trying to make something happen here for the future of the town, for the good of the town and the good of all the town's people. That's why most of us do this.
Yes, no, you're right. Nelson, are there a couple of examples or an example or two you might be able to give of the work that has been performed by the committee in recent times?
Well, our most recent success, if you will, has been the addition of a sidewalk on Woodbury Street. That was developed just this past year. And we also have a much larger project in process called the Sauhegan River Trail, which will be a walking trail that will go from Watson Park in Merrimack up to Wildcat Falls. It'll go under Route 3 through an old sluiceway for the mill, and we'll provide a walking path all the way up there. We also have a piece that was built by the Merrimack Rotary Club, and that connects Abbey Griffin Park down to Route 3. It's a walkway and pathway that's been put in there. So those are the major pieces that have been completed, and we've got a lot more to do to fill in the sidewalk infrastructure in the town center.
Great. Would you be able to describe where the town center is?
Yeah, that's a good question. Everybody asks, everybody comes to town, says, where's the town center? And it's a good question. And Merrimack was really 3 little villages or 4 little villages that sort of came together under one big geographic umbrella called the town of Merrimack. And so the town center, as we've defined it in our master plans for the town, is the area of town that is north of the Rite Aid pharmacy and south of the Front Street, along Route 3, and then east of the Effie Everett Turnpike, as far as the river, between the Effie Everett Turnpike and the river. Yeah.
Yeah, no, the town has changed quite a bit, and while we maybe didn't have a center for years, it's starting to materialize as one, which is very good.
Yeah.
Well, one last question, if you might. What do you think the committee's most important topic of discussion has been in the past year?
Well, we've discussed a lot of things. One of our difficulties is getting funding for our various projects. The iTrack study that I spoke of defined 8 or 9 pieces of sidewalk that were missing in the town center that are needed to make connected loops among them. And so our major topic has been to figure out what we can do and where we can get funding to make those things happen. So that's been our
very good
big project.
Well, thank you very much, Nelson. It's been a pleasure speaking with you today. Thank you for joining us today on Become Involved, a series that focuses on the community's boards and committees. If you would like to learn more, please visit the town's website at merrimacknh.gov and become involved.
You're watching Merrimack TV Election Night Live. That was our Become Involved series with the Town Center Committee, hosted by Chairman of the Town Council, Finley Rothaus, with the Chairman of the Town Center Committee, Nelson Disco. Before that, we watched a PSA on how to properly dispose of your sharps at the Merrimack Transfer Station. And then, of course, we were treated by an excellent rendition of America the Beautiful from the Merrimack High School Concert Band. And we opened up that video package with a Merrimack moment, putting a spotlight on Bob Bergen's Hot Dogs for ALZ event that he had at the beginning of the summer. Let me tell you, what perfect weather for an event. I mean, it was great. There were so many people who were out supporting that cause, and I don't think anyone can disagree at how fantastic the ALZ, that organization, The Longest Day, is. And it was a pleasure to work with Bob. And Bob had stopped by a few different times, the Merrimack TV studio, and taped a couple different community channel shows. So we've gotten to know Bob Bergen over the years, and we definitely always look forward to The Longest Day, which takes place right next door to the Town Hall complex, in the parking lot that kind of connects the church there and the Mastrocola Upper Elementary School, where we are right now. As we're awaiting any kind of announcement from the town moderator, you can see Lynn Christensen, our town moderator, on the stage here, and she's doing what she does best, for sure. And it looks like we just got, there's just been some kind of delivery, maybe ballots from the other polling location. I think that's what you're seeing on the screen. We've got someone who's just in our view there. Let's see if we can get a different shot of that. There it is. So a DPW truck just pulled up, and it looks like they also have a couple of Merrimack police officers with them there. So they're bringing in, I'm assuming they're bringing in ballots from the other polling locations. I'd have to talk to one of the, either the town moderator or one of her assistants to verify that, but that's what it looks like to me. I'm Nicholas LaValle, the Town of Merrimack's Media Services Coordinator. I'm joined with our Media Assistant, Colin Marr, who's on camera, and our Assistant Media Services Coordinator, the Golden Son himself, Mr. Justin Slez. He's back at Town Hall tonight, making sure our audio is steady, our live stream is functioning, and I'm here at the James Mastrocola Upper Elementary School. We were just we were treated earlier by Ralph, one of our voices of the Merrimack Tomahawks. You hear him almost at every home game, really, and it was a pleasure to have Ralph stop by. And as I was just about, as we were getting ready to go to air, it was great seeing Ralph talking to the town manager, talking about high school football and talking about, the Tomahawk season and how well, Bishop Girton's playing, and looking forward to, let's see, who's playing this week. So we have Merrimack playing Londonderry, and Bishop Girton's playing Pinkerton. There's a lot going on. And if you want to find out how away games are being covered, you can go to the New Hampshire Coalition for Community Media website, and you can look up the Sports Network calendar. So an exciting night here at the James Mastrocola Upper Elementary School. We will bring you any kind of announcement that Lynn Christensen, the town moderator, may have. We are going to stay up until midnight. We may break down sooner depending on what the announcements are. As you can see, there's a lot of activity here in the gym, or the all-purpose room rather. And we'll be up with you for sure. In this next video package, you're going to see another episode of Become Involved, this time featuring the town councilor Nancy Harrington interviewing Steve Dembo and Larry from the John O'Leary Adult Community Center. Before that, you're going to see the Merrimack High School Jazz Band performing Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, and I gotta say that was one of the highlights of the spring concert last year. It was... You're gonna absolutely love that. But before we see the Become Involved series, and before we see the band playing Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, we're gonna take a look at the future of our town's history, featuring John Listoka and the president of who is the president of the Merrimack Historical Society in this very special Merrimack moment.
If there's one thing you think of when you hear Historical Society, it's history. The past can be a valuable resource for the present, and they aim to recognize, use, and protect those resources. In Merrimack, there's over 275 years' worth, and the Merrimack Historical Society is taking some forward-thinking steps to help them achieve those goals, starting with their new offices at 10 Depot Street. Society President John Listoka walked us through the history of the building.
It's called Schoolhouse Number 3, and it used to be up on Route 3 where Hot Rise Bagel is, up just a little north of Axel's. And in 1951, it was moved to this location at 10 Depot Street. And my father was one of the people that actually moved this building. And so it's here now, and we have occupancy permit just a short time ago. So we're excited to be showing this off.
Looking around their new old office, you can see they have some big plans for the space. They've set up some exhibits with different historical artifacts from various periods in the town's history, from beeswax cylinders to butter churns, to over 100 years of town reports. They've also converted a former classroom into a space for screening videos and presentations. One of the audience members today was longtime resident and town manager Paul McCallie, who took a tour of the building and talked Merrimack history with us.
I've been a resident of the town of Merrimack since 1976, and there's always something new to learn about the history of Merrimack. Every time I talk to one of the historians, they have something new to share. whether it's a story about the river or whether it's a story about a building. It's fascinating from when we were first settled to being 4 villages to being one community and one town.
You can see firsthand how much of the past, up through the present, has been cataloged at their new office. But Listoka's vision for what they can offer doesn't end there.
Being a historical society, people look at, gathering history, preserving history, and that's exactly what we do. But today, what we're doing is we're moving into the future. And for us to save history going into the future, we need technology. So we brought high-speed internet here. Everything is computerized. Sessions and objects are all going to be digitized locally here that you can research right here in the building and hopefully someday go online with them. We're doing presentations with a brand new 4K TV you can cast up to. It's not your Aunt Millie's Teacup Historical Society anymore.
Thanks for watching.
All right, now it's for something completely different. We have a Gordon Goodwin piece called Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
Hi, thank you for joining us on Become Involved, a series designed to focus on community boards and committees. I am Nancy Harrington, one of your 7 Merrimack Town Councilors, and I am the liaison to the John O'Leary Adult Community Center. The 2 very important people with me today are the chair of the executive board, Larry Vagetzi, and the facility coordinator, Steve Dembow. Thank you both for coming.
Thank you, Nancy.
Thanks for having us.
Great. Now, Steve, I'd like to ask you a question to start off. Can you tell me about the O'Leary Center, the building? I know you've been involved with the building and know a little bit about the history.
Well, I've been involved for 21 years, and the building has a lot of history in the town. It was originally built in either the early 1900s or 1860 somewhere, depending upon what material you read. It was built originally as a 2-room schoolhouse, dubbed Schoolhouse Number 9. And it served the needs of students from grades 1 through 8. But by the year 1948, several other schools were built around town, so it served only the 8th grade at that time. Its last use as a school was in 1971 when the superintendent's office moved across the street to the school complex. And at that time, the building was converted to the police station, which was in existence at that time when I moved to town in 1979. Outgrowing that facility, they moved across the street to the town hall complex on the 1st floor until that space became unusable for them, so they moved to the present building where they are today. When the building was finally vacated in the early 80s, some of the townsfolk decided that it might be an appropriate use for the building to convert it into an adult community center or something for a place for the seniors to recreate, to meet, to have social functions, and so on and so forth. So a group of the citizens who represented various fraternal and civic groups in town, notably one of them, John O'Leary, who was a member of the Rotary Club, got behind this initiative and with the help from a lot of the other organizations in town, got a proposal put together. The citizens voted upon this idea, and the funding was put in place for an expansion, which took place in the early 80s. And at that time, it became a meeting place for various groups, such as the Merrimack Senior Citizens Club, which had been in existence prior to, and meeting in various other locations. Also, the Rotary Club became a tenant, as was the Meals on Wheels program, at that time known as St. Joseph Community Services. Since that time, the building has evolved and grown, and we have had a variety of tenants in the building, both on a recurring and a one-off basis. It is available for rent when it's not used by either the seniors or the other contracted tenants who are in the building. And it's an excellent place, local, and recently refurbished and brought up to code, up to state, with all kinds of amenities to help us deal with the present coronavirus situation in terms of sanitation and cleanliness.
Excellent, thank you. Larry, can you tell us a little bit about the executive board, what it does, what's its purpose?
Sure, Nancy. The executive board, according to our constitution and bylaws, allows for 18 members of the township to volunteer to run the actual organization, the John O'Leary Community Center. The town of Merrimack owns the actual building and the facility and the property around it. We manage the building and the activities within it. As Steve said, we conduct a lot of functions. We have regular groups such as a Rotary and other groups, Meals on Wheels, meet there. We also do one-off functions like weddings, baby baptisms, showers, things like that. Our board of directors meets on a monthly basis. We go over the business of what's going on with rentals, the condition of the building, anything that we have to do with the town. And let me just throw in here, it has been a great relationship with the town of Merrimack. It's a great partnership. We truly enjoy working with everybody and with you. But again, the board is a group of volunteers.
Thank you, thank you.
Larry mentioned this partnership, if I may, and indeed it is a partnership. Without the assistance from the town in terms of helping us out with a subsidy along the way as we go through each fiscal year, the board has encouraged the adoption of means by which we can become more and more independent, and through very opportune rental functions and events, we generate income, and that is used to pay the operating expenses of the building, the utilities, the furnishings, and all the stuff inside the walls. The town does support the building to the extent of the physical plant and structure of the building and so on. But it is a definite partnership, and we really could not be able to operate this building without the support of the town.
Excellent. Now, Larry mentioned about rentals. What kind of rentals are involved with the building?
Well, if they are appropriate and legal, we're happy to host events that, as Larry mentioned, vary anywhere from, and we've had over the years, all kinds of family get-togethers, gatherings, anniversaries, weddings, Sweet 16s. The Rotary Club had been a tenant for many years. We have a very vibrant group of folks from the Alcoholics Anonymous Bedford Merrimack Honesty Group, which meet there on Sunday. Meals on Wheels has been a tenant since the very beginning, and we have a kitchen that they utilize for preparing, or I should say packaging prepared foods that come in from a caterer, and then they're distributed out to the town by volunteer drivers. We've had
But a lot of the community members can rent the building.
Oh, absolutely,
Okay.
Sure, yeah.
For individual events.
Whatever, yes, and I fund those inquiries, so I should say field those inquiries on a regular basis. People contacting me either online or by my phone.
So you would be the one involved in planning, getting information about, and in planning any event they might want to book with you.
So in essence, I maintain the calendar. Okay. So in conjunction with the monthly tenants that we have, I'm aware of the spaces that are available, the dates and times, and I'm able to effectively communicate that to a potential tenant to let them know whether or not the facility is open for the time and the type of event that they'd like to have.
Perfect.
You know, it's interesting, Nancy, that as we talk about rentals, unfortunately, we went through and we're still going through this COVID experience, but when everything was shut down approximately a year, 16 months ago, we used that opportunity to completely refurbish the center. Starting off with the bathrooms, we completely gutted the bathrooms, all new facilities, touchless water, new floors, new stalls. We then moved into the kitchen, replaced the flooring there. All the walls have been painted, new ceilings were put in, lights and sconces. To help deal with the COVID issue, what we've done is we've put in 2 air purifying systems that run 24 hours a day. They're NASA-grade air purification systems. Working with the town and our health and safety inspector identified those. In addition, we also have sanitation, hand sanitizer stations all over the building. So we did use that opportunity to completely redo the building to make it that much more appealing for people that want to use the facility.
Perfect. I'm really glad you brought that renovations up. It's taking advantage of a terrible situation.
Oh, yes.
But you did really great on that. Okay, to finish up, Larry, can you tell us any last words you'd like to say about the executive board or any needs that you might have?
Sure, Nancy. As I mentioned earlier, our Constitution bylaws allows for 18 concerned citizens that are willing to help and volunteer to be on our board of directors. It takes approximately an hour and a half, at the most 2 hours a month. We meet on a monthly basis to conduct our business. If you go to the town website and look under the Park and Recs department, you'll see a link to our website. In addition, if you're not comfortable with the computer, you can just go to our building, and on the door is Steve's contact information. You can contact him directly. We do have openings. We're looking for citizens that want to get involved. It's a great group. I feel very privileged to be part of it.
Thank you.
Nancy.
Thank you, Nancy.
Again, thank you for joining us on Become Involved. As you can see, this is one board within the community that we are helping to become aware in the community. And it's very important for you to have access. Again, the town website is merrimacknewhampshire.gov. And remember, we want you to become involved.
You're watching Merrimack TV Election Night Live. And you just saw our Become Involved series with Nancy Harrington from the Merrimack Town Council, with Steve and Larry from the John O'Leary Adult Community Center. Before that was a performance of Attack of the Killer Tomatoes from the MHS Band. And we opened up that video package with the future of our town's history, featuring John Listoka, the president of the Merrimack Historical Society, in a very special Merrimack moment. And I'm once again joined by one of our voices of the Merrimack Tomahawks. Ralph is in the house here on a Merrimack Election Night Live. Ralph, thanks for joining us. This was a surprise. This was not planned.
It was not planned. Just a quick surprise drop-in. I was in the area, and I thought I'd want to see how Merrimack TV covers this great event. So
yeah, and as we're awaiting announcements from our town moderator. Any announcement that the town moderator may have, our cameras are on, our microphones are on, and you can see Lynn. Well, right now you can see people breaking down the room here on Colin's camera. And then we can see Lynn, the town moderator, on the stage. So if Lynn Christensen, the town moderator, has any announcements, or Diane Trippett, the town clerk, has any sort of announcements to give us, then we'll have them on microphone, we'll have them on camera, letting us know what's happening, if there's any updates whatsoever. And in the meantime, we have some special Merrimack TV programming. And Ralph had stopped by. I thought it was great that Ralph was in the area, because Ralph is, he's been one of the voices during our football coverage alongside Dave. And in essence, Gary and Andy are on the field covering the game and doing announcements over the PA. And then we have other volunteers who do play-by-play. We have Brian Gagnon, who covers volleyball and both boys and girls basketball. And then we also have Mike and Dave, who do the wrestling. And then we had Mark and Andy, who do the boys and girls soccer games. So we have such an amazing group of individuals that really step it up to provide play-by-play for our sports coverage. And Ralph, I can't thank you enough for doing that the past couple of years. And you were telling me before we played that last video package, you plan on going to the Tomahawks game this weekend, because they're in the quarterfinals.
they are. They're playing the number 1 seed, the Londonderry Lancers. So I'm pretty excited to see how that game turns out. It's definitely going to be a challenge, but I'm pulling for Merrimack. Go Tomahawks! But it'll be an exciting game.
Have you been? Because normally when we cover the Tomahawks games, I'm on camera at the field, and you're back at the Town Hall TV studio with Justin and your co-host Dave. You guys are watching the game from our live feed. When was the last time you saw a high school football game live, in person?
Gosh, probably a Thanksgiving Day game from my high school, maybe in my 20s. I'm not going to tell you exactly how long ago that was, but it's been a little bit.
It's been several years, is what you're saying.
It has.
And are you hopeful for the Tomahawks this weekend? Do you think that there's a chance they could pull off this?
There's always a chance.
Always a chance.
I do think that Londonderry is an amazing team. I think the biggest comparison that Merrimack had on their schedule would be Nashua North, who is the number 2 seed, who Merrimack struggled against, but they were missing some key players. And I think anything can kind of happen in these late season games. You get to the playoffs, it's really anyone's tournament at that point.
Yeah, and we're still trying to confirm if the football game is this Friday night or if it was Saturday. I received the text earlier, and maybe if we weren't so busy during the video break, I would have tried to pull that information up. But we are hoping for a Tomahawks win, whether that game is on Friday or Saturday. But they're playing the NHIAA quarterfinals. And it's the Londonderry Lancers versus the Merrimack Tomahawks. We're hoping that if Londonderry TV's covering it, we're hoping to show that coverage. If not, you can always go to the Londonderry Access TV website and pull it up there. If you follow us, Merrimack TV on Facebook, go to facebook.com/Merrimack TV. I'm hoping to have an announcement about if the game is going to be played Friday or Saturday, and if we're covering it, I should know by tomorrow morning. So definitely check that out. And Ralph, were there any moments that stuck out for you in any of the home games that you saw this year?
There were quite a few. There was a game a couple weeks back where on consecutive drives, Merrimack scored on quick slants across the middle to two different receivers that took the ball to the house just inside the opponent's side of the field, which was pretty exciting. I have to give some credit even to Portsmouth last week, who Merrimack beat in the first round of the playoffs. They had a receiver make a play that was very NFL caliber in terms of catching a ball on 4th and I think 16, catching the ball inside the 5-yard line for a big chance at a score. So there's a lot of really great plays, a lot of players that stood out, including the quarterback play from Trent Jackson, players like Mello Hyde. There's really just a pretty strong team effort on both sides of the ball. You had a lot of players that stood out throughout the year, and a lot of great seniors and a lot of great underclassmen that'll be coming into form next year.
We're wishing the Tomahawks the best of luck as they head into the quarterfinals this weekend. And I know that the town manager, Paul McCallie, was talking to you earlier about the other teams that are in the finals. And, Pinkerton is a tough one to beat, right?
Yeah, so Pinkerton's a strong team. They're playing against what I believe to be Bishop Girton in that matchup. So that'll be that's number 4 versus number 5, Girton being the number 5, Pinkerton the number 4 seed. So two evenly matched teams. And two teams that'll be a challenge for whoever wins the Londonderry game against Merrimack. So it won't be an easy road for Merrimack as they kind of venture through the playoffs, but it should be really fun and exciting.
Well, we're hoping for a Tomahawks win against Londonderry Lancers this weekend. I know Ralph is going to be there, and he's going to have on some Tomahawks gear, and he's going to be screaming from the bleachers, go Tomahawks with 17 O's in that go, right?
That's right.
Yeah,
I'll be there.
For sure. So we wish the best of the luck to the Tomahawks. And if you don't watch any of our Merrimack High School sports or concerts, you can go to youtube.com/Merrimack TV and check out our coverage there. Of course, just this past weekend, we added instant replay during the live. That must have been exciting for you guys to see that.
What a great addition. That was really cool. I know we talked about it a little bit this season, that it was a new feature we were going to try out, and it was pretty awesome. Justin really popped that play right on right after. It was really just a great addition to what we saw. Adds a little extra excitement to what happened, gives us a chance to kind of talk it through and kind of see those wow moments one more time.
Yeah, you get to relive the moments right then and there, which is fantastic. Well, Ralph, I want to thank you so much for stopping by. I know Colin got real excited when I said Ralph is going to stop by. He was just he couldn't believe it. So there he was, and he's wearing red, white, and blue, very patriotic on this election day. You've probably never seen this process, have you, Ralph?
I haven't. I've seen just kind of from the outside, I think that everyone else has seen coming to vote myself, but to see the amount of work put in by volunteers, town employees, everyone, it's really exciting. And seeing Merrimack TV cover the process, I think it's really, amazing to see.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for stopping by, Ralph. And speaking of Tomahawks, later tonight we're going to have a Merrimack moment that features the new concession stand at the high school, which is pretty spectacular.
I definitely need to see it. I think I heard about it, but I have yet to get a chance to go down to the field since I'm usually in the studio for it. But maybe one of these times I'll get to enjoy a nice fresh snack over there.
Yeah. Well, in this next video package, you're going to see an episode of our Become Involved series from featuring Barbara Healy from the Merrimack Town Council, with the co-chairs of the Heritage Commission, Chip Pollard and Ralph, a different Ralph. And I can't pronounce his last name. I should have looked that up beforehand. But Barbara is going to interview the co-chairs of the Heritage Commission. Before that, you'll see a performance of When I Rise Up and the Birds Lullaby from the Merrimack High School Chorus, led by R.J. Beck. But first, we're going to take a look at the Senior Information Fair in this Merrimack moment. It's happening.
As we get older, we're expected to have all the answers in life. But sometimes there's challenges and questions that we didn't expect. That's why the Merrimack PD hosts an annual Senior Information Fair at the John O'Leary Adult Community Center. Detective Bill Vanderside explains.
This event is something we've been doing for, just about 20 years, I guess, through different community service officers that we've had in the past. It helps all our seniors in the community just to see what's out there and what's available for them in the community. So we try to reach out to as many vendors as we can to see what services they offer, to bring them into one place that the seniors can, come in and grab something to eat and just reach out to the rest of the community in one building.
Many different organizations were present to explain their services, from assistance with heating bills to assisted living and COVID booster shots. It's always heartwarming to see the community come together, giving our elders access to the information and care that they need. It helps them keep up in a fast-moving world. For example, one table was run by high school students offering social media help.
It's becoming really relevant, and this is like the form of communication, and giving them the tool to ask the questions to be able to know how to use it is really good for them. And I actually had someone ask me, like, can we do this like weekly at the library and have like drop-in sessions so that we can like get this, like if we have new questions, like can we get this information more?
But beyond getting info, the senior fair gives the older members of our community a good reason to get out of the house and talk to people, as resident Phyllis Eakins explains.
I think it's very good for social function. It broadens your capacity to meet people and to broaden your horizons.
Thank you for watching.
Let me rise up joyful like a bird. When I fall, let me fall
Hi, and thank you for joining us today on Become Involved. This is a series that focuses on the committees and boards that are here in the town of Merrimack. I am Barbara Healy, one of your town councilors, and with me today I have the co-chairs of the Heritage Commission. And to my right, I have Ralph Garentz and Chip Pollard, who will be talking to us today about what happens on the Heritage Commission. So gentlemen, thank you for being here.
Glad to be here.
So guys, tell us about the Heritage Commission and what does it take to be a member on the commission? Do you need any special training? Do you have to have a degree in history? What do you need to do?
The Heritage Commission was established by the town of Merrimack, and its purpose is to preserve the town's historic resources for future generations. And what do we do? Right now we have 3 full-time members, and we have our town council member, which thank goodness is you.
Thank you.
We do have room for 2 more full-time positions and 3 part-time positions, 3 alternates, that is.
Okay.
And what does it take to be on there? Just a love of your town's history and your love of trying to preserve things. Would you like me to talk, or you want to talk about what we are actively doing at this time?
I think that would be great because, you know, people say, well, you know, it's a Heritage Commission. So yeah, you're interested in the history, but what are some of the projects you guys are working on right now?
So just to give you a quick insight to what we're all about and what we're doing at this time. So a couple main things if people out there want to find out what's available locally. There are 4 brochures. So Merrimack is divided into 4 villages. And the villages are South Merrimack, Thornton's Ferry Village, Sauhegan Village, and Reed's Ferry Village. So these brochures basically detail each village and all the historic homes, all the history of the homes. They're very insightful as to what's really right here in the town, and people can drive by and see these things. And these brochures are available at the town hall, at the library, they're at the Historical Society, and they're also available on the town's website.
Okay.
Along with that, we've had members there cleaning graveyard markers. They've done over 200 of them last year. Very busy. Improving the graveyards in case anyone wants to visit historic graveyards. Also, we're trying to identify all the historic places in town. And by doing that, we have 12 old schoolhouses, we have 5 old fire stations, we have old Class 6 roads, which, you know, historic, you know, villagers used to travel on these roads. So people don't really know where they are. We're now trying to create signs so we can identify all these places throughout the town. So soon you'll be able to drive through the town, you'll see these markers all around, and you'll know exactly what's there.
Great.
That was one of the fun activities that we had, is walking those old Class 6 roads.
Well, I know you guys have talked about, you know, the Old Kings Highway and, you know, how you guys were walking that to actually determine where is it and where does it still go? Where does it still run?
Yeah.
So
that's one of the difficult things.
Yeah.
There's been so much construction and change in the terrain that we lose track of it. But
yeah.
And it takes, sometimes it takes a lot of searching of the deeds to find out where those easements are and where the roads go. And that's one skill that we like to have someone have, you know,
Right.
someone who's good at that. That's a
Researching all of
specific-
that.
Yes, researching.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything takes a lot of time because you have to dig through the records. And there is some things available online, but technically it kind of ends in 1970. Before that, you need to go to the towns, the state, to find more records from way
Individually.
back.
So that's just because they haven't digitalized them as
Yes.
yet online. Wow.
Absolutely. But we're also out there, we're identifying, you know, original stone walls, old barns, and even, if people can believe it, they're called champion trees. You see a huge tree. These trees are actually categorized with the state. They're very important to the history. They could be 200, 300, 400 years old. So
the state actually tracks all of these historic old trees throughout the state and in the different towns and whatnot. And don't we have one or two here in Merrimack as well?
We do, yep. Yeah, there's one right there on Severn's Bridge Road. Two on Severn's Bridge Road.
Wow.
A sycamore and I believe it's a yellow pine. Yep.
Huh.
Yeah,
And I had one on my front yard.
You had?
You did?
Yes, it was a northern white ash. It was 160 years old.
Oh my
and we
gosh.
counted the rings on it and
Yeah.
it came down.
Ah.
And we had to take it down. Yeah.
Yeah, the sycamore's pretty impressive. It was, speaking with the people who lived there a long time ago, it was planted to celebrate Christopher Columbus's 300th anniversary of landing in America.
Wow.
And it was a 14-year-old tree that was planted at that time, so it's making it, quick off the top of my head, at least 250 years old.
Wow.
And it's a massive tree.
Oh, I bet. I bet. Great.
So it's very interesting. But you know, we work hand in hand. So obviously the Heritage Commission is part of Merrimack, the town. But the Historical Society is also its own separate identity,
Right.
separate place. But we do work hand in hand with them to, you know, establish things that need help with the town. Pretty much so we're trying to prevent future loss of historical structures. Sorry about that. Anyway, so that's why we're trying to work with the planning board to, you know, make sure we know what's going on in the town to avert any loss of something historic.
Yep. Great. Yeah, because I know some people have really mourned the loss of the brick building that came down last year out on the Daniel Webster up here in the Reed's Ferry area.
Right.
So, okay. So what other projects are you all working on there on the commission?
Well, one of those projects, the critical ones right now is protecting a graveyard. Yeah, and that is gets difficult. You have to dig the evidence, and we have the Historical Society help us with that. You know, just where does the location of the graveyard so that it isn't covered up or bulldozed in the process of the construction. That's one of them. Another one, I got a call from someone who recently bought a historical house, and he wanted to know what he should do to maintain its status. You know, can he do it? And it's mostly convincing him that he should do it. There's no historic center.
Right.
Yeah, none that. So he's going to focus in on the inside. You know, I invited him to see my barn and some other people who have done that.
Excellent. Yeah. Because I imagine it's maybe when you first buy a house, it's important to make sure the structure is sound, you know, and the foundation is sound, and then once you fix that, then you can kind of go inside and begin to work other issues.
Yes. Yeah.
So interesting. So, okay, so now that you've helped us understand some of the things and projects that the Historical Commission is doing, so what do you think is the most important thing that you've worked on for the last year? Because we have a bunch of projects.
We have a lot of projects, that's for sure. Actually, one that my thought on what was very important last year, we had 3 people from our committee that worked on the 275th anniversary committee for the town, which was last year. And with COVID, We didn't meet as often last year, but we felt that was a very important thing to celebrate. I mean, 275 years as a town is amazing.
It is.
So we put a lot of resources and time into that,
Yeah.
and felt very good. The town did a great job with it, especially our rec director, Matt.
Right,
Amazing
Matt
job.
Kasparius, yes. Yes, that was a fun project, including the cookbook. So gentlemen, do you have anything else you want to add?
Well, we're looking
we
for
haven't
members.
covered?
We're looking for members.
Always looking for members.
Because we only have 3 full-time members. We need to have a quorum, and it gets difficult, with the COVID and other things that interfere with it. So could use a couple.
Yeah.
Okay.
We ask anyone who'd like to join us just to reach out.
Yeah. And we're fun guys, too.
They are fun guys. They are. I can attest to that. Okay. So thank you, Chip. Thank you, Ralph, for joining me today to talk about this particular series, Become Involved. Again, a series that focuses on the boards and committees that take place here in the town of Merrimack. And if you want to learn more about some of these boards and committees, just go to the town website, merrimacknh.gov, and you can also become involved.
You're watching Merrimack TV Election Night Live. I just got word from Lynn Christensen, the Town of Merrimack's moderator, that she will have final election results within the next 30 minutes. I did try to get our Chief of Police, Brian LeVake, here on camera, but he politely declined being on microphone today. I want to thank the Merrimack Police Department for all that they do. I've seen a number of police officers this morning, this afternoon, working alongside Diane Trippett, our town clerk, and Lynn Christensen, and all of our volunteers. And it's so wonderful to work alongside the Merrimack PD. We've done a number of things with them as well. And, they've got this excellent comfort dog now, Mac. I told his handler, Officer Amanda Groves, bring Mac by the Merrimack TV studios anytime you want. We love him. Very cute stuff. You can follow Mac on Facebook now. I think he has more followers than Merrimack TV very quickly. But we are going to have election results in just a moment. Lynn Christensen, the town moderator, stopped by and she said, soon. I said, how soon? She said, within the next half hour. So that was just before 9 o'clock. So I'm guessing that we'll have results sometime between 9:15, 9:30-ish. Just stay tuned. We're gonna go into this video package right now. What you just saw was our Become Involved series with the Heritage Commission. Barbara Healy, one of our town councilors, was interviewing Chip and Ralph from the Heritage Commission. Before that was a performance of When I Rise and the Bird's Lullaby from the Merrimack High School Chorus. And just before that was a Merrimack Moment Senior Information Fair that was actually put on by the Merrimack Police Department. Officer Bill Vanderside set that up with a helping hand from Pat Murphy, our welfare administrator. That was over at the John O'Leary Adult Community Center just a couple weeks ago. And that was such a great event. The police department always does a fantastic job with that. But now you're going to see Become Involved with the Parks and Recreation Committee. That's with our Parks and Rec Director, Matt Kasparius, and the Chair of the Parks and Rec Committee, Tracy McGaugh, being interviewed by Lon Woods from the Merrimack Town Council. Before that, you'll see the Merrimack High School Concert Band and Chorus Combo performing the Battle Hymn of the Republic. But first, let's take a look at a young entrepreneur, Sarah Snavely, who presented the Children's Business Fair down at Watson Park earlier this year in this very special Merrimack moment.
Here in Merrimack, we're big fans of small business owners, and last Sunday showed that pretty clearly when perhaps the smallest business owners, literally, set up shop at Watson Park. Organizer Sarah Snavely explained what inspired her to host the first Merrimack Children's Business Fair.
My mom has been homeschooling me, and she was trying to find something to match my interests for being an entrepreneur, and the Action Academy Business School is what she found, and they have a program where you can host a fair like this. And when she told me, I really wanted to sign up because I thought it was perfect.
That entrepreneurial spirit was all over the gazebo, from baked goods to art prints to crafts. Kids of all ages sold their wares with a colorful sign and maybe a helpful sibling. For Sarah's part, she sold homemade pillows. We talked to her mom about what it's like to see your daughter coordinate an event of this scale.
It has been actually a blessing, a blessing in disguise. It was extremely difficult. It was a long process, but watching her go to the different businesses, watching her to go to the town hall meeting, ask for a permit to use the public space, then going into the fire department and ask for permits there, going to the police department for a partnership. She has really been immersed in what it means to be a community in this area. And it has been a blessing for our family to do this.
It was pretty impressive seeing all these kids be so independent at such a young age. Logistics can be a pain for adults, but they came with a plan and did good business. You could tell that if they want to pursue it, they could have a future in this.
I love doing a lot of stuff, and when I'm older, I'm going to own a business, and I'm going to keep it small because I like helping the community get together.
That's certainly a goal we all want to support.
I might have gotten a little carried away, though.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you for joining us today on Become Involved, a series that focuses on our community's boards and committees. I am Lon Woods, liaison from the Town Council to the Parks and Recreation Committee. Joining me today is our chairperson, Tracy McGraw, with Matt Kasparius, Director of Parks and Recreation. Tracy, thank you for being here, and Matt as well. Tracy, could you tell us about your committee and some of its purposes?
Sure. Well, we meet to discuss issues relating to Merrimack Town Parks, different recreation areas around Merrimack, ball fields, and seeing what we can do to improve them, seeing if we need to find more land for them, just discussing what's going on to see, what we can do to make things a little bit better. We also meet with scouts, both Eagle Scouts as well as Girl Scouts, and we accept proposals from them when they want to do projects, scouting projects, and they'll do them throughout the different parks. A lot of them do happen at Wasserman Park because it's a larger space.
Sure.
So we meet with them, and then we listen to what they have to say. We give them some tips, and then they come and they present them to the town council for review and approval. We tend to invite members of the public. If they want to come and watch a meeting, they're more than welcome to do so. They obviously can also watch it on Merrimack TV. But if they also have a proposal of their own, we do ask that they bring them to Matt first so that he can present it on our agenda, but they're welcome to come in and talk with us.
Okay. Could you talk about a little more about membership and how often you meet?
Usually we meet the third Wednesday of the month. Usually. There are some times when we skip a month because there's very few things going on that particular month, or it's the Christmas and Thanksgiving holidays. But it's usually the third Wednesday of the month, and we meet usually here at Town Hall, or we can meet at another location if there's a conflict, if there's other meetings taking place. As far as the membership is concerned, we have, of course, I'm chair. Matt Kasparius is our director. Christine Lavoie is our co-chair. Michelle Creswell is our secretary. And we have our town council rep, of course.
Thank you.
Lon Woods. Thank you very much. Senior Center rep is Maureen Hall, and that's for the John O'Leary Senior Center. That's across the street. There's the MYA representative, and that's Rick Grenier. There's a school board representative. We had Shannon Barnes. She has, I believe, retired is the best word. She is retired from school board, and she will be retiring from Parks and Recs after a long tenure of service. And we'll miss her.
Yes,
but we
we
also
will.
have Lori Rothaus, who comes in as our school board representative as well. And then we have members that are Jamie Devlin. He's one of our newer members. David Shaw, he's one of our newer members. There's Phil Przybajewski. He's one of our new members as well. And Laura Janes was chair, and she is now just a member. And Julie Poole.
Alrighty.
We do have one open space, and we are hoping that we can fill it, but it's a student representative. And that person would be most likely from the high school, who would come in and talk to us about what's going on at the high school and also offer any insight from the student's perspective.
Do you need any special skills or experience to be a member of Parks and Recs Committee?
No, all you need to do is love this town and want to make it better for both living here as well as playing here.
Could you give us some examples of recent decisions and issues, perhaps, that the Parks and Rec Committee has dealt with?
Well, I could start with last night. We had a young man come in as an Eagle Scout who wants to build another Gaga ball pit. Yes.
Okay.
Most of us didn't even know what Gaga Ball was until a couple of years ago, but there's 2 Gaga Ball pits right now at Wasserman, and he would like to come in and build one at Watson Park, I believe, right, Matt?
Correct. Yep.
He's saying that it's just become quite a fun game for everyone to play, so that was his proposal, and you'll be seeing him at Town Council fairly soon, I believe. I think it's next week. But our biggest issues going on right now are Wasserman Park and the beach. And I would like Matt to actually speak a little bit on that, because Matt knows what's going on with the beach, but the beachfront is transformed and it's absolutely gorgeous right now. There's still more work to do, but it's absolutely gorgeous. Matt, you want to fill in some for me?
Please, Matt, thank you.
Sure, thank you. So yeah, we've been undertaking a multi-year approach, trying to slowly improve all of our parks, but we've spent a lot of time focusing on Wasserman, and one of the areas that was identified back when I first got here in 2014 was the beach, and which needed some help. One of the problems we've had is just erosion over the years. We've had, just silt and mud and muck, and, it's just not a really nice place to swim. And so one of the things that we had approved last year through the voters was first to dredge the lake and dredge the swimming area and just get rid of all that muck and mud and clean it up. And then we rebuilt the shoreline in front of those docks, and we've turned it into a perched beach. And this is something we had to work through the state to get environmental permits and things to do. The other piece of the project that got completed is we're actually replacing our swimming docks.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. So you can see that Wasserman Park has a lot of work going on right now, and this has been a lot of time in coming, and it's taken a lot of Matt's direction and his perseverance to get this done. But if you have a chance, I don't know if you've been down there yet. We took a walk down there with our pups, my co-chair and I, and it is gorgeous. And so one of the things that they're also good at, because there's a little hill going down to where that beachfront is, they're going to put some sod or something in there, and then a fence so nobody's crawling down the hill and, having too much fun with that. But it is absolutely gorgeous. So I invite you to come down and take a look at it. But some of the other stuff that we've done also is Watson Park. We've put in the ice skating rink in the wintertime when Mother Nature, works with us. And then in the summertime, we have it set up as a volleyball court in the same area. And that might be where the Gaga ball pit goes. We're still trying to figure that part out. I think that you guys will probably be making that decision when Nick comes and presents it to the town council. We put some fencing up at Watson Park to kind of separate Watson Park from the Sohegan River. Maybe prevent people from going down into the river in that particular area, because it's not the best place to go swimming, shall we say. And then, like I said before, we've also added, thanks to the Eagle Scouts and the Girl Scouts, we've added improvements to Wasserman. We've repaved the tennis courts at Wasserman. And the Eagle Scouts, I will say this, the Eagle Scouts and the Girl Scouts have been very generous with their projects for the dog park.
Yeah.
And so that's been absolutely fantastic, because the dog park, although the town does help us, Matt does help us with our dog park. A lot of what we do is by donation and volunteers. So we've been busy.
Yes, I've noticed it's been a very vibrant committee. Matt and Tracy, thank you for joining us today on Become Involved, a series that focuses on our community's boards and committees. If you'd like to learn more, visit the town's website, merrimacknewhampshire.gov, and become involved.
And that was our Become Involved program featuring the Parks and Rec Committee. It's hosted by Lon Woods, one of our town councilors, with Matt Kasparius, the Parks and Rec director, and the chairperson of the Parks and Rec Committee, Tracy McGraw. Before that was a performance of Battle Hymn of the Republic from the Merrimack High School Concert Band and Chorus. And we kicked off that video package with the Children's Business Fair, one of our Merrimack moments. If you'd like to see more Merrimack moments, you can go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/MerrimackTV. We've got so many different Merrimack moments. I think we're up to 40 of them now. Merrimack Moments really put a spotlight on the people, places, and events that make this community unique. And we should have final results from Lynn Christensen relatively soon. She came over just before 9 o'clock and said that we could have results sometime within maybe the next half hour. I know that she typically gives me a thumbs up, or at least a 3 to 5 minute warning. So we're going to go into another video package. I know that you're probably waiting for these results. We are too. We didn't expect to have them this soon. We were planning to be here till at least midnight, to be quite honest with you. But Lynn came over, our town moderator came over to me about 5 of 9, and she said that we can expect results real soon. So that's what we're doing. If you're watching and you know that you have friends or family that are interested in seeing results, particularly the state rep seats, because all the other most of the other offices on the ballot are dependent on how other communities vote. So we really want to take a look at the state rep portion of the ballot. That's really the results that are affect Merrimack the most tonight in terms of the results and what they mean. So if you know anyone who's interested in watching the results, please tell them to go to merrimacktv.com, click Watch Live, choose either Channel 20 or HD 1071. That's one way to watch Merrimack TV. Another way to watch is on streaming devices. You can download Cablecast ScreenWeave on your Apple TV, Roku, or Amazon Fire device. You can watch there. Or on Comcast Xfinity here in Merrimack, Channel 20 or HD 1071. We will have results relatively soon. Please stay tuned so we can get that announcement from the town moderator. In the meantime, let's take a look at the new concession stand at the high school in this Merrimack moment.
When you watch live sports, there's a decent chance you're going to get hungry or thirsty. So it's important to have a concession stand ready to handle that demand. The old one at the MHS football field was not up to snuff. So local charity Laura's World Fund took on the task of building something that would better serve the community.
The Laura's World Fund was started after Laura Wolf, who was a varsity cheerleader here at Merrimack High School, passed away tragically in a car accident in 2004. And the foundation was started to raise money for children, especially underprivileged children. Over the years, they've started many different water projects in Ethiopia. And now we said, let's do something for Merrimack. Let's do something for the kids here and give some more town pride. So we said, let's get rid of that shack at the Student Memorial Field at the high school, and let's build a real nice concession stand that can be used by all the student bodies, all the clubs, even graduation, and something to be proud of.
From football to soccer, this stand is ready for many different sports and events on the field. From the planning phase to finishing construction, the project took about 4 years, but was of no cost to the town. It was funded entirely by donations and sales of personalized, etched bricks on the walkway. You could also get a replica of your brick, many of which were out on display when they cut the ribbon at the first MHS football game of the season. After that, the new stand opened for business, and they fired up the grills as Tomahawks fans lined up to order at the counter. The improvements over the old one were immediately clear. Refrigeration, the ability to take credit cards, and not only running water, but hot water. This stand is set up for success. And by some coincidence or maybe Tomahawk spirit in the air, Merrimack won the game against Nashua South, 27-21. While a concession stand may seem small at first glance, it represents a community coming together and building something better for the next generation. And we can be confident that wherever Laura is, she's watching.
I think she would be super, super proud. I mean, she was a ray of sunshine. You know, she was a cheerleader, so she wanted the best for Merrimack and she wanted the best for her team. So she would feel like she's doing her part to support the team.
Thanks for watching.
Hi, thank you for watching Become Involved, a series focusing upon Merrimack's committees and boards. My name is Nancy Harrington, and I'm one of the 7 town councilors here in Merrimack. Today, we're going to be speaking with John Calabro, who's the president of the Merrimack Youth Association, also known as MYA. But before we start the conversation, I want to be able to help you understand there's a little different between MYA and some other committees. The MYA is a group of volunteers that are really independent from the town. They have their own boards, executive boards, and the town does not make decisions for them. Now, they do fall under Parks and Recreation only because they have to schedule the fields that they use for the various sports with Parks and Rec. DPW also helps maintain some of the field, and a lot of MYA does that as well. The other thing is that the school department, they also have to work with to be able to schedule for the gymnasiums. So I just wanted to be able to help you understand that they're a little bit different than the other committees and boards. And with that, we can probably start the conversation, John. Thank you very much for coming.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for having me.
And I suppose we can just jump in and have some questions for you. The first thing is, can you tell me a little bit about the MYA in terms of what's the goals and what's the purpose of the MYA?
Sure. So the MYA, Merrimack Youth Association, as you said, started in 1968, quite a few years ago, with a bunch of parents who were very interested in putting together organized sports for their children to play. It's been an all-volunteer organization ever since. It's been, over the years, an excellent parental community of volunteers. And overall, the way we are set up and we operate is we have an executive board that kind of manages or oversees all of the sports. And then each of the individual sports have their own boards that work their sport in terms of scheduling and teams and things like that. Very much a partnership of involved parents that want to make sure they put on good, solid programs for the good of their children.
Excellent. Can you tell me what kind of sports, for example, that you have within the MYA?
Yeah, so at the moment we offer 7 different sports. We have baseball, basketball, football, cheer, lacrosse, soccer, girls softball, and fairly recently a wrestling program. So 7 different individual sports. All of them run from the first grade level, or even some of the kindergarten level, pretty much all the way up through the middle school age level, some degree in order to prepare kids for high school sports and things like that. Basketball and soccer do offer a high school rec level league for kids that just want to play, that maybe aren't making the school teams, but they just want to play, and that's what we're trying to foster. Teamwork, fun, cooperation, community is what we're after. The way we do that is we actually allow children to play in the appropriate age group so that the children get to know each other in their particular grade, and to some degree the parents of those children get together while they're watching and they're on the sidelines. Then you tend to meet lots of friendly people from town, and personally myself, I'm still friends with many people that I met through my son's basketball team. The way we organize kids is each sport will have a registration process, and then they register, and then the board and the coaches come together and they make teams, and off they go.
Speaking of coaches, how do you get coaches and do you pay them?
Yeah, so again, we're an all-volunteer organization all the way down to the coaching level. Parents that are interested in coaching typically their own children's teams or their age bracket will sign up during registration. And it's 18 years or older. You just simply have to be over 18 years. There's really no experience necessary. Primarily, we're a recreation league. It's about some learning of sports. It's about fun. It's about building self-esteem for the children. And it's a very rewarding experience. The boards tend to have an annual voting process. And if you're interested in joining a board, you can make yourself known to MYA or the particular sport and the particular position you'd want to go for. And they run elections annually to make sure that there's a good amount of parents that are involved so that everyone can contribute to making an excellent program.
Excellent. I just want to address something that you've said that I just want to emphasize. You mentioned about parental community. For anyone who's new to Merrimack, this is a wonderful opportunity to be able to meet parents of the same age as your children. Personally, I had 2 children who went through the MYA, as most adults had children who went through the MYA. And that's how you really became much more familiar with not only Merrimack in general, but you really had lifelong friends. And also the kids became friends with, and what might be different is if the child is not super athletic, they might not make a team in the school.
Correct.
But they know the kids who are, and they become friends outside of sports and continue with that.
That's correct. We focus not only on the sport and maybe getting a little better in the particular sport as you play through the year. A big part of it is self-esteem of the children. There's nothing like I'll just phrase it, the worst kid on the team learning as much as they can learn, but as you mentioned, becoming friends with everyone on the team so they can say hello to each other in school and feel confident in themselves going forward. That's what we strive for. Even outside the sport, it's about a fun, safe atmosphere for the kids. And most of the parents that volunteer to coach and help coordinate, it's quite a rewarding experience I've found in my own personal years on the board.
Quick question about the coaches. Do you really have to know a lot about coaching or the sport? Or because I can see some parents hesitating, well, I don't know how to play baseball. But if I remember correctly, there used to be like 2 coaches or assistant coaches.
Yeah.
And one really knew the game and the other one was just to be able to help out and stuff.
Sure.
Is that the same?
You really don't, no experience needed.
Okay.
All you really need is a willingness to want to help, want to be a part of the growth of kids, which is quite rewarding. And you're correct in that usually out of a coaching team, there's one who really knows the sport and the others follow along. Sports is not that hard.
Right.
And pretty much it doesn't take much. I've given an example. As long as you know the ball is round, you're ready to join in.
And you use your feet or your hands.
Yeah,
whatever
correct.
Either way. Okay, I did want to provide an opportunity for you too. I think I've gone into stores and I've seen little plaques of a thank you from the MYA for sponsoring. I also know at the field, the baseball field, you have a lot of
banners.
Banners, thank you.
Right.
And do you want to speak to how does that happen?
Yeah, so each sport will do some fundraising because we're an all-volunteer organization. We're a not-for-profit organization. We get some funding from the town, much appreciated. We do a lot of fundraising. As part of that, a lot of the local businesses will join our team as a sponsor, which is a few short dollars, not too much money. And typically, like you said, we'll put up a banner or they'll get a plaque with the team picture on it. Okay. And as you see that around town, it just builds the community. Those are very nice to see. Right. I've seen some that are, 1972 still up on the wall, and it's very rewarding to me to see that.
And I've made comments on occasion. Oh, I see that you support MYA.
Correct.
Appreciate that. So I think as a community, it would be nice to be able to reinforce that as well.
Right.
Excellent.
Right.
Okay, is there anything you want to be able to emphasize as we finish up?
Right. So one thing I'd like to say, we have a website. We call it the MYA website. Very easy to find. If you Google MYA, you will come to our website very quickly. Officially, it's called merrimackyouthassociation.com. And from that core website, you can get to the individual sports websites. We have it all linked together, so you can get information there. If you want to call, our phone number is 603-424-7759. Leave a message, and someone will get back to you, either myself or someone from the particular sport you're interested in. So we're very easily accessible. We have a building right down the street, the MYA building, that we meet at and use for equipment storage and things like that. It's been an excellent organization over the years. I'm proud to be a part of it. I've been a bit around for 15 years or so, and enjoyed every minute of it.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you coming here, and I'm glad you had the opportunity to look for volunteers and
Yes.
provide information about the MYA.
Yes, thanks for having me. Volunteerism is really what it's all about. It's very important in the fact that it helps us keep our costs down, our registration fees down. Right. Some people want to play a sport, but they don't want to kick out $500. They want to kick out $50, and that's all we need, really, to let the kid have a nice, fun environment to play and grow.
Great.
Yeah, great. Thanks for having me.
Very good. Thank you very much, John, for coming. I appreciate you spending time to help explain about the MYA and all the details that will be helpful for information for the community.
Great.
I want to thank you for watching Become Involved. You have been provided the information by the website for MYA, but there's also a town website which you can also go to, merrimacknh.gov. And remember, this is what the series is about. Become involved.
Thank you for watching Merrimack TV Election Night Live. I'm Nicholas LaValle, the Town of Merrimack's Media Services Coordinator. Thank you so much. I know that you're waiting with anticipation for election results. We work closely with the town clerk's office and our town moderator, Lynn Christensen. She was giving me as many updates as possible. She came over just about 5 of 9, saying it looked like about a half hour. Just spoke with her just a couple minutes ago, and it looks like we should have results right around 10, maybe a few minutes after. But we actually are going to have results, and significantly earlier than any of us had any of us, meaning my staff, the media division staff. We had planned to be here up until midnight. Fortunately, that's not going to happen, and we'll have Merrimack's midterm election results for you in just a bit. So thank you so much for being patient and staying tuned, and as we waited for these announcements from Lynn Christensen, the town moderator. So thank you kindly. You just watched Become Involved, an episode with the Merrimack Youth Association, which was hosted by Nancy Harrington, featuring the president of the MYA, John Calabro. Before that, we saw a performance of 5'2" Eyes of Blue from the Merrimack High School Jazz Band, and then a performance from the Merrimack High School Chorus. We kicked off that video package with a Merrimack moment, which was a new concession stand at the high school. Fantastic job by all the folks who were behind that new concession stand. It looks great, and if you didn't get a chance to see a Tomahawks game this season at Merrimack Student Memorial Field, mark it as a thing to do for next fall, because it's quite the experience to be at that field, the new concession stand, just smelling, hot dogs and hamburgers off the grill, and the band is playing, and the cheer team is there, and the football game's happening. It's just such a great experience, and it really does bring the community together. And if you want to watch any of those Tomahawks games, you can watch them at youtube.com/MerrimackTV. We cover quite a few community events, not just Merrimack High School sports, but also performances from the band and the chorus like you had seen earlier. And then our Merrimack Moment segments that we produce really put a spotlight on the people, the places, the events that make this community so unique. And it's been an absolute pleasure today just watching how hard the town clerk's office works and how closely they work with the town moderator and their collective group of volunteers. As you can see, they're still here. A lot of these volunteers have been here since 7 a.m. this morning. So I want to extend a big, just so much gratitude towards them for all that they do for the community. And I would like to thank you for watching tonight. We are going to have results very soon. If you have friends and family that are also awaiting results, please, send them a text, let them know. MerrimackTV.com, click Watch Live, choose Channel 20 or HD 1071, and they'll be able to watch the results as well. I want to extend a thanks to my staff, Colin Marr on camera, and Justin Slez, our Assistant Media Services Coordinator, for helping, not just helping, putting together this production today. World-class team in the media division, and if you enjoy the programming and you want to learn more, please send us an email, merrimackTV@merrimacknh.gov, and you can learn about how to get involved, or you could just follow us on Facebook. Just search for Merrimack TV. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and again, you can subscribe to us on YouTube. We are trying to hit 1,000 subscribers by the end of the calendar year. We're so close, so thanks for doing that. And we're going to go into another video package, probably the last one that we'll show tonight. Again, I spoke to Lynn Christensen, our town moderator, just a few minutes ago. She seemed pretty confident that we should have results around 10 or shortly thereafter. It's 9:52 now. And again, very surprised by that, just because we planned on being here till midnight tonight. And the fact that we're getting them this early is just testament to the town moderator, town clerk's office, and just how thorough and all these volunteers and all the people behind Merrimack's elections are. And we have a town election every April, and we cover a deliberative session in March. You can learn more about voting in Merrimack and the town clerk's office by going to merrimacknh.gov. In just a few moments, you're going to watch a clip of our Become Involved series featuring the town manager, Paul McCallie, and the community development director, Tim Thompson, discussing the zoning board. Before that, you'll see a performance from the MHS Concert Band of Overture to Candide. Excellent performance led by former band director Patricia Cunningham. But first, you're in for a real treat. We're going to meet Mac, the MPD comfort dog, in this very special Merrimack moment.
It's the dog days of summer here in Merrimack, but that's not entirely because of the hot, sunny days. At the Merrimack Police Department, it's thanks to their newest, smallest officer, Mac, the MPD comfort dog. His handler, Officer Mandy Groves, talked to us about how the little guy came to be employed by the MPD.
Seeing that other police departments have it and it's becoming a big push for mental health for first responders, that was kind of the catalyst for us to get our own comfort dog. Mac is an American Lab. He's 10 weeks, 10 pounds, 10 weeks. He's a very relaxed dog from what we've seen. He hasn't jumped or nibbled at anything. So he's very, very young and just a baby, but he's really good. And he's already made such a big impact, even the first couple days that we've had him. The community has been really, really supportive, and just seeing everybody light up when they see him is really good.
Right now, Mac does a lot of sleeping on the job. But over the course of about a year, he'll do obedience training, canine good citizen training, and therapy dog training. If you'd like to meet him yourself, Mac will be brought to various town events to meet residents too, with the next being National Night Out on August 2nd. If you'd like some more positivity on your social media feeds, sorry about that, you can search for Mac on Facebook at Mac the MPD Comfort Dog and Instagram at MPD Comfort Dog. Thanks for watching.
The first piece we're going to play is Candide.
Hello, and welcome to another installment of Become Involved. My name is Paul McCallie. I am the town manager for the town of Merrimack. With me today, I have Tim Thompson, the Community Development Director, and we're here to talk to you about the Zoning Board of Adjustments. Hello, Tim.
Afternoon, Paul. How are you?
Good, good. Tim, what is the Zoning Board of Adjustment?
The Zoning Board of Adjustment is a statutorily required board for any community that has a zoning ordinance. Merrimack has had zoning since the 1950s, which divides the town into multiple residential, commercial, and industrial districts and determines how development takes place in those zones. The Zoning Board is the board that allows for relief from those standards in unusual circumstances. It's essentially a relief valve for when an applicant or a property owner needs to be able to do something that our regulations don't allow for.
Do they meet often, or once a month, 3 times a month, every week?
The Zoning Board meets 12 times a year, so once a month. It's the last Wednesday of each month at 7 o'clock here in the Matthew Thornton room at Town Hall. Meetings usually run an hour to a couple hours, depending on the volume of applications that we see, but it's generally a once a month, unless there's unusual circumstances where we need to call a special meeting.
Okay. And the type of, when you talk about applications, what are they dealing with? Are they dealing with, like, I want to build a garage, or?
It's a variety of things. For example, probably the most common thing the Zoning Board deals with is a variance for a property setback. Every district has certain distances that you need to be from a property line when you're constructing an addition to your home or a new structure. A lot of times, especially if the lot is older or has an unusual shape, a property owner may not be able to meet those setbacks, so they have the ability to come to the board and ask the board to grant them relief from that requirement. And if the board were to grant it, then they would be able to move through the permitting process.
Great. So if I want to volunteer for the Zoning Board, how do I do that?
I'd always suggest that if you have an interest in any planning or zoning topic, feel free to stop by at the Community Development Office at the lower level of Town Hall. Myself and my staff are always more than willing to talk about what it is that the boards and commissions do in town. For the Zoning Board specifically, you don't need to have any special expertise, just an interest in serving your community. We certainly can bring everybody up to speed in terms of what the roles and responsibilities are, provide training opportunities, and make sure that you know what you're doing before you get up in front of those cameras.
Okay. And you talked a little bit about training. Is there other training available through other agencies?
Absolutely. We partner with the state of New Hampshire. They have an Office of Strategic Initiatives. They provide training opportunities for board members throughout the year, both online in webinars and in person at workshops and conferences. We're also members of the New Hampshire Municipal Association, which is a advocacy group for all municipalities in the state, and they also offer those types of training opportunities as well.
Oh, so basically you learn about the law.
Exactly.
Okay. And what kind of roles are in this committee? Are there full-time and alternates?
Sure. The Zoning Board is by statute 5 full-time members that are appointed by the Town Council here in Merrimack. And then we have the opportunity of having up to 3 alternate members. Alternates can fully participate in the meeting, ask questions, participate in the discussion on the applications. However, unless they're appointed for a missing regular member, those alternates don't actually vote, but they can still participate in the process.
So if I heard you correctly, our full-time are appointed for a 3-year period?
Yep.
And
Every board member in Merrimack for the Zoning Board is appointed for a 3-year term. They're staggered so that we don't have the entirety of the board turning over every couple of years. And those 2-year terms, as we said, are every June, the council goes through an appointment process for those terms.
Okay. Is there anything else, you know, we touched base a little bit about the Zoning Board and what they do, and we talked about a variance of a lot line, but it's also, they also do variances for commercial, industrial,
Right.
and residential, and
There
things of that sort?
There are several different basic powers that the Zoning Board has. Variances are the most common. That's when an applicant is looking to do something that's specifically not allowed by the regulations. There's also a process called a special exception. Those are for different uses or types of development that are allowed, provided you meet certain conditions. The next thing that they do is we'll hear what are called appeals of administrative decision. So if our building inspector or planning and zoning administrator were to make a determination interpreting the ordinance that you don't agree with, you have the ability to appeal that to the zoning board, who can basically weigh the merits of that and determine whether or not the decision was correct. And then the last power that they have is what's called an equitable waiver of dimensional requirements. And that's a specific state law that when you have structures or things that don't meet a setback requirement, or a lot that doesn't meet a lot size requirement but has existed for a length of time without any violations or anything like that, there's a specific process under state law that allows the board to grant those in a much more easier fashion.
Sounds like a lot of interesting information and a lot of interesting details they handle.
The zoning board doesn't quite have the same breadth of responsibilities as the planning board does. They are very narrowly focused on those appeal processes that are set forth in state law. And every board member becomes very familiar with what they call the 5 points of law, which is, in a variance case, there's a state law that says these are the 5 things that must be met in order for the zoning board to grant.
Great. Thank you for joining me today, Tim. I want to thank everybody for watching us. Hopefully you learned some more information about our Zoning Board of Adjustment. And if you'd like to become more involved, please visit the Town of Merrimack's website, www.merrimacknh.gov, and become involved.
And that was a clip from our Become Involved series. You just saw the town manager, Paul McCallie, interviewing our community development director, Tim Thompson, about the Zoning Board of Adjustment. Before that, you listened to the overture to Candide, performed by the Merrimack High School Concert Band at their spring concert last year. We covered that. That was one of, if not Patricia Cunningham, the band director's final performance outside of the graduation ceremony, of course. Beautiful performance by the concert band. We always get a kick out of working with the Merrimack High School Music Department and covering those concerts. And before that, you met Mac, the Merrimack Police Department comfort dog, and his handler, Officer Amanda Groves. That was one of our Merrimack moments. Merrimack TV. We produce these Merrimack moments. The reason is we really want to shine a spotlight on the people, places, and events that make this community so special. And without a doubt, Mac, the MPD comfort dog, is certainly unique and special to this community. Merrimack Moment segments are produced by myself with Colin Marr, our media assistant. Colin does the lion's share of the work. He writes, produces, and narrates, edits these clips. We co-produce them together, the media division as a whole, and Colin really puts quite a bit of effort into those productions. If you'd like to see more Merrimack moments, you can go to youtube.com/MerrimackTV and take a look at all of these Merrimack moment segments. Earlier tonight, we saw Merrimack moment segments of the Children's Business Fair, the Senior Information Fair, the new concession stand at the high school. Just so many special moments that have taken place the last couple of years here in Merrimack. We're patiently awaiting results. On your screen right now, you see Lynn Christensen and our town moderator working alongside our town clerk. And they're tabulating really the final results, just doing what they do best. This is a well-oiled machine here in Merrimack, which you may have seen earlier last week. Our media assistant produced a Merrimack moment about the election process here in town. Check that out. Go to youtube.com/MerrimackTV. It was really 2 days. 1 day of ballot counting and verifying that they had the exact number of ballots that were printed by the Secretary of State's office. Those are all hand counted by Lynn and Diane's team of busy bees, I guess you could call them. It's a pretty amazing clip. And that count, Colin just pointed out to me that the ballot count that they do in that first day has to match the number that they count after the polls have closed. And that's a lot of what you saw this evening in this room here as we were waiting for an announcement from the town moderator, was them once again counting all the ballots and making sure that those numbers lined up. The process is really something else. And if you're curious to know how elections run and work here in Merrimack, a good place to start would be that Merrimack Moment segment, youtube.com/Merrimack TV. You can see exactly the process that the town clerk and the town moderator follow, and following all the state RSAs, and it's a really exceptional piece. We are expecting results any moment now. And as I had mentioned earlier before that last video package that we had played, we didn't think that we'd get results this early. We expected to be here until midnight. That's what we had posted on our social media accounts. So the fact that Lynn came over to me at about 9 o'clock and said, we're actually going to have results pretty soon. They're doing their due diligence. I know that the Secretary of State's office had asked for town moderators and such not to give preliminary results, as we often see in our town election every April. Lynn reads preliminary results. There's not going to be preliminary results read tonight. They will be final results. That's what I was told earlier. And we will talk to Lynn. After Lynn gives us the results, she will come over. She'll be on camera. She'll have a mic, and we're going to ask her a couple questions. We're going to ask her to reiterate those results, and that's going to happen. So we're just as anxious as you are, so I want to thank you so much for your patience as we await results from the town moderator and the town clerk. In the meantime, while you wait, follow Merrimack TV on Twitter and Facebook. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We cover every elected municipal board, nearly every elected municipal board and committee in Merrimack. We want to position ourselves as a primary source of information. So if you want to see a town council meeting, it's on our YouTube channel. You can watch these programs live. You can watch a school board live on Merrimack TV. You can watch the Conservation Commission on Merrimack TV, Planning Board every other Tuesday evening. So we ask residents to look towards the town's media division of Merrimack TV as a primary source of information. So thank you for subscribing to our YouTube channel. Thank you for patiently waiting with us as we anxiously await an announcement from the town moderator. We should have results very shortly. And in the meantime, we're going to see another Become Involved clip of Town Councilor Andy Hunter interviewing the chair of the Conservation Commission, Steve Perkins. Before that, you'll be treated with a performance from the Merrimack High School chorus of Moonglow. And I'm looking over at the moderator to see if I'm... So as we await for Lynn's announcement, let's take a look at Outdoors with Bob in this Merrimack Moment.
Merrimack TV's community channel has been around for over 2 decades. A lot has changed over the years, but one thing has stayed constant. The longest-running show on the channel, Outdoors with Bob.
Welcome to another edition of Outdoors with Bob. And today we're at the Killam Bear Center in Lyme, New Hampshire. And my special guest is Mr. Ben Kilham, who is the owner, operator, and bear rehabilitator. Ben, welcome to Outdoors with Bob.
Well, thanks for having me.
Bob LaRue has been around the block. Aside from being a longtime resident of Merrimack, he was also a state representative for over 20 years. With a job like that, it makes sense that the original media services coordinator for the town would reach out to get him to produce a show.
And I told him I wasn't interested in being politically active or working in politics all day and doing it again at night, so I told him no.
But there's a topic Bob was interested in producing a show about: the great outdoors.
I've always been an outdoors person. I mean, I've hiked and I fished and I canoed and you know, hunted, did all kinds of stuff involved with the Scouts. So I've always been an outdoor person and that type of thing. So anything outside interests me. I love to do animal programs. That's my favorite, really. We've done red deer program, and people say a red deer. Yeah, there is such a thing in New Hampshire. There's a herd of red deer in Plymouth, New Hampshire. There's over 500 of them.
The show has brought Bob all over the state, from sea level to over 5,000 feet, making friends with many different people, but also bear cubs and even buffalo.
Can I try that?
Feeding him?
Yeah.
Absolutely. You want to get slimed?
Well, I don't care about being slimed. I just want to come. I want to go in with 5 fingers and come back with 5 fingers.
Yeah, there's no top teeth, so you can't. You might be able to squeeze your hand a little bit, but it's really.
They really just wrap their tongue around it, so.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, sure, right down in there. Sure, go ahead.
He's collected plenty of souvenirs from his adventures, like moose hooves and even a skull. But as for his favorite episode, Bob says that it's difficult to choose just one.
To me personally, all the programs that we've made were very special because of the people in it and what they brought to the people of Merrimack. Whether it was miniature donkey rides or working with the Fish and Game Department on stocking trout. But the one program, the longest program we ever produced was on preserving the old man of the mountain. Now that was a total a 5-hour program, and what was unique about that is that we have some footage of the old man and the repairs that had never been filmed before, and we have stories we can go on forever on that. And then, unfortunately, we had to go back after May 3rd, to the remains of the old man. So we have the two together. So that was that was a close program because it meant a lot not only to us as people from New Hampshire, but the residents and everybody related to the old man of the mountain.
Despite it being outdoors with Bob, it's never been a one-man show. He always emphasizes how none of this would be possible without many different friends, his Mara Vikings crew, helping with the over 300 episodes. One essential team member, who, in his words, is his top assistant, biggest helper, and his biggest fan, is his wife, Fran, who's been there since the show's beginning.
I thought he was a little bit off his rocker, and he got me involved in it. And at that time, we didn't know what we were doing. We had no comprehension of anything. And when he needed graphics, I go on the internet, download pictures that I thought he'd be interested in, then put them on a disc so he could have them to try and put them on his video. If he's working on his videos, which he has a computer upstairs, his personal one, the film computer downstairs. Downstairs, he's a whiz. Upstairs, forget it. It's, Fran, come here, what's wrong with my computer? But I never hear boo out of him when he's downstairs editing a film.
Consistently editing the longest-running community channel program in Merrimack gets you pretty acquainted with the production process, and pretty acquainted with the town's media division. The division used to be back at the high school, and Bob would rent out a camera and edit his footage at the school. Now, Bob has his own studio and equipment in his basement, and submits the finished product for airing on the community channel. The show has spanned multiple generations of Merrimack TV, and for current media services coordinator Nicholas LaValle, Bob has been a constant.
Bob may have very well been the first resident I met when I was first hired by the town of Merrimack, what seems like a lifetime ago. Bob's commitment to producing his program truly shows how community can be built through media. It's outstanding what he's done in terms of documenting the state with his show, and oftentimes he has zeroed in on parts of capturing Merrimack's history and culture as well.
Bob and his Mara Vikings crew have been there for a lot of Merrimack's history. For example, they documented the community reaction to 9/11, and that experience inspired them to capture the Christmas lights around town, bringing holiday cheer to those who couldn't go out to see the lights themselves. That idea of bringing a unique experience into someone's home has always been at the heart of the show, too.
I hope that over the course of the years that we were able to bring something to people that they didn't have the opportunity to see before. Or why are things done a certain way? Like the old man, how was he preserved? What did they do to preserve him? It's fascinating things.
With so many interesting topics and people over the years, it's difficult to choose a favorite part of Outdoors with Bob. But for Fran, it's easy.
Bob, of course. But I'm always looking to see where his next adventure is going to be. I hope it lasts another 20 years. Because I know he enjoys it. He really enjoys it.
And it's safe to say that everyone at home enjoys it too. From all of us at Merrimack TV, thank you for your dedication to community media. And we look forward to the next 20 years. And 300 more episodes. Thanks for watching.
We'll be singing the jazz standard Moon Glow, really dense jazz harmonies all the way throughout it. And we're accompanied by Trey Grant on the piano. Chase Warren on the drum set. And Nadia Harold on the bass. A 1, 2, a 1, 2.
To Thank you for joining us today on Become Involved, a series focused on the town's committees and boards. I am Andy Hunter, the Town Council representative to the Conservation Commission. Today I'm joined by the Chair of the Conservation Commission, Steve Perkins. Steve, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Andy.
Can you start off by telling us a little bit about what the Conservation Commission does?
I certainly can. The Conservation Commission is responsible for the natural and watershed resources of the town. Those include, obviously our rivers and our streams, our forest lands, our wildlife habitats, open spaces, and those drinking water resources in the town. Another thing that the Conservation Commission does is we review any projects that are proposed to take place in either the Aquifer Conservation District or those wellhead protection zones. We also receive and review dredging and digging and fill permits from the New Hampshire Department of Environmental Science or Environmental Services. We review those and provide our feedback either to the Planning Board and or the New Hampshire DES for their consideration and action.
So you mentioned town-owned land. Can you tell me how many parcels the Conservation Commission manages?
We can. We're incredibly fortunate here as residents of Merrimack. We have nearly 1,600 acres of conservation land. Most of those acres are on 8 major parcels. Those parcels include Wildcat Falls, Horse Hill Nature Preserve, Greater Woods, Watkins Forest Area, Mitchell Woods, Fields Farm, Gilmore Hill, and Scholar Waterfront Park.
That's a lot of parcels. How does the Conservation Commission, how do they manage all of those parcels as one commission?
We certainly don't do it alone. We're lucky. We get a lot of help in that. Primarily, we have 4 of those parcels, Greater Woods, Wildcat Falls, Horse Hill Nature Preserve, and Scholar Waterfront Park have subcommittees. These subcommittees are incredibly tireless, incredibly generous with their time. They do all the heavy lifting. They are really the boots on the ground. They act as the stewards of those properties. They give us feedback. They meet regularly. They collect feedback and give it to the Conservation Commission. If they need something, they ask us for it, or they just give us ideas how to make those properties more user-friendly for the groups of people that use them. I also would want to mention that we have an extensive network of organizations or groups that do a lot of work on these properties. Those include the New England Mountain Bike Association, Fish and Game, the Litter Crew helps us whenever we need cleanup. They do a lot of that. Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts of America. If you've been on any of our parcels, you've seen their work out there. They've done some great things, from the observation decks to the selfie stands. The outdoor classroom at Greater Woods is simply phenomenal. They've done some great work. Moosewood Ecological, the National Resource and Planning Council, and also the Salhegan River Local Advisory Committee, just to name a few, and I'm sure I forgot somebody. But
yeah, a lot of helping hands.
Yeah, we're incredibly grateful for all the work they do out on these properties.
So if residents want to get involved with one of these subcommittees or want to know more about the Conservation Commission, where can they go to find out more?
The best place to start, obviously, the town, we have Merrimack Conservation Commission has a link on the town website, but we also have www.merrimackoutdoors.org, and that's probably the best place to start. It certainly has our schedules, our upcoming events. There are links, a lot of links on there, different trail maps and so forth. So anyone that wants to get on there and just check out what's happening and how to be involved, that's probably the best place to start.
So if a citizen does want to become involved, are there certain requirements or skills that they have to have in order to assist with one of the subcommittees or the Conservation Commission?
That's a good question, and the best part about that is absolutely not. We have a full commission now, yourself, and 9 other members, 6 full-time members, and 3 alternates. We come from a variety of backgrounds, have a variety of different interests and expertise, and skilled in different things. Really, the only common denominator, the only thing we all have in common, is we just wanted to give something back and be involved in the community that we live in. We do meet regularly. Our terms generally end in June, and we're staggered a little bit. So some of our, some members, we're fortunate that we have a lot of members that are on multiple terms. They've really been on the Conservation Commission for a long time. When terms open up, the process is simple.
Thanks for joining us. Merrimack TV's election night coverage, and Lynn Christensen has given us the thumbs up, and we're good to go.
Ready? Good evening. After a long, long day, we have the... Good evening, folks. And to all 12,876 people who chose to exercise their right to vote, thank you for coming out. That's a record for Merrimack. Of those, roughly 1,000 were absentee ballots. And we had about 900 people register to vote today. All good numbers. Now for the details. Governor Sherman, 4875. Sununu, 7740. Helderson, 87. Boysenko, 39. Hassan, 6749. Bolduc, 5852. Kaufman, 203. Pappas, 6847. Levitt, 5879. Kelly, 5989. Wheeler, 6447. Shanley, 6180. Daniels, 6359. Pay attention, Merrimack. Here are your new guys for the state reps. Stack, 5545. Thomas, 5843. LaRue, 5341. Locke, 5522. Manning, 5262. Murphy, 6131. Plant, 5258. Rung, 6245. Rosemary was the top vote getter. Mooney, 6037. Nodder, 5860. Blasik, 5635. Boyd, 5839. Barbara Healy, 5625. Bob Healy, 5710. Mayville, 5456. Magoo, 5828. Page 2. Sheriff. Well, he didn't have any competition. 58565. Sarwick for County Attorney, 5424. Why don't I have Coughlin listed? What do you got Coughlin on? 6463. Coughlin. Manzo, 5385. Fredette, 6451. Crowell, 5946. Hogan, 6246. Brick, doesn't look like it's going to matter anyway, but 5646. Graham, 6246. Julie, 5759. Robert, 6220. Question 1. Overwhelmingly approved, 6881 to 4003. And question 2, blew out of the water with 3860 and 7620. Nobody liked that one. That's your totals, guys. Thank you for coming out and voting.
And that was Lynn Christensen, our town moderator, reading the results. And in just a moment, Lynn's going to make her way down here. And we're going to talk to Lynn about those results as well. And so just stay tuned. Lynn's going to make her way down here. Should probably be like right about. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Nicholas LaValle, the Town of Merrimack's Media Services Coordinator. This is Merrimack TV Election Night Live. You just watched Lynn Christensen, the town moderator, read the results of the Merrimack's results of the midterm election, and here she is, our town moderator, Lynn Christensen. Lynn, how's it going?
We made it.
You've had a busy day?
It's been a busy day. We started early. We had a lot of people show up. Pretty much a steady flow all day long. Of course, there were long lines before we opened because people got here early, and in fact, in one of the polls, we opened early so that we could get the lines going. But yeah, a lot of people.
A lot of people.
This is a record turnout. Last November election was a presidential election. We had about 11,500.
Mm-hmm.
We had almost 13,000 this time in a midterm.
So Merrimack had more voters
in the
midterm
than we had in the presidential election.
Wow, that is
Yeah.
that's something. That's not something I necessarily expected to
Nope.
see.
Well, Dave Scanlon, the Secretary of State, was anticipating a 67% turnout, 2/3. We've got 18,000 on our checklist.
Okay.
Or to start, we had.
Okay.
And we had 12,000 plus. That's 2/3. He was right on the money, like he always is.
So I know that our assistant media services coordinator Justin Slez is back at the Town Hall TV studio, and he, the race that we're most interested in
Yep.
being local media
Yep.
and are the state rep seats. Can you tell us who our 8 state representatives are?
Sure.
You already know them, top of your head?
Yep.
Okay. Who are those? Who are Merrimack's state representatives?
You had 3 Democrats that were elected.
Okay.
Rung, Murphy, and Thomas. You had 5 Republicans elected. Mooney, Notter, Boyd, Bob Healy, and Tim Magoo.
Okay. So
That's
the
pretty unusual for Merrimack.
The 8 state reps, 3 Democrats,
5 Republicans.
5 Republicans, 3 Democrats: Rosemarie Rung, Nancy Murphy,
and Wendy Thomas.
And 5 Republican state reps.
Yep.
Could you read those to
Maureen
me?
Mooney.
Okay.
Janine Notter. Bill Boyd. Bob Healy.
And
Tim Magoo.
Okay, great. Lynn, can I ask you a couple questions?
You can ask. Remember, it's getting late, so I'm going to get a little goofy.
We're going to ask you just a couple questions. The turnout, you already talked about the
Yep.
turnout today. There's
Yep.
actually, there was more voters in Merrimack at today's midterm than there were at the last presidential election in
That's
2020.
correct.
That's impressive for voter turnout.
Yep.
Fantastic job, Merrimack.
Yep.
Absentee ballots.
About 11. We had, I think, 1,100 were sent out. We got back probably 1,050. There were probably 50 or 60 that we didn't get back.
So pretty close to. Pretty close.
Again,
Okay.
pretty high numbers.
Now Colin and I spent some time here this morning, this afternoon. We've been live since 7 p.m. and obviously, we're always impressed with the amount of people that are helping you and Diane. A lot of our neighbors were volunteering here tonight.
Sure.
What are some of the roles that they got to do, part of the process? What were we watching starting at 7 in the background?
When you start at the top, you got me. I'm the moderator. The buck stops with me. What I say is it. Then I've got at least 3 assistant moderators that work at each of the polling sites because I can't be everywhere at all the time. So I rotate between the various polling sites as I'm needed or just because I do. When I'm not at the polling site, there are 3 others that have my authority, make decisions, make sure things run smoothly. Most of them have been working for me for many years. We've got a few new ones because we've lost some, so we backfill. When you get beyond that, you get to ballot inspectors. These are people who typically are appointed by the town political parties. They're the ones that sit at the table. They have a checklist in front of them, and they're saying, name, do you have a photo ID? and those are the ballot inspectors. After the polls close, we have ballot counters. So what you were seeing at 7 o'clock were a lot of those people. They work in teams of 2. They take all of the ballots that have a write-in on them. They record the write-ins. They also take those ballots that for whatever reason the machine just could not read. You don't always know why. Sometimes the machine just says, I really don't like this ballot. So
Gotcha.
what we do is we put it in the side pocket. We say, don't worry, it will be counted, and we hand count those at the end of the night. We had some of those. We always do.
How many times the machines count the ballots? Now we're hand counting ballots. How many times do we usually count before we get that final number?
Each ballot gets counted once.
Okay.
The machines count every ballot once.
Okay.
If they've counted everything, it goes into one pocket. If it's counted everything, but there's a write-in, it is separated so I can pull those out, and the rest of the ballot has been counted. All we're going to do is have the ballot counters record the write-in vote.
Understood.
And then the ones that the machine could not read, they have to go through and record all of the ballot, all of the candidates, all of the races.
Lynn, everyone wants to pack up, and we're taking up
Don't worry
everyone's
about
time,
it.
everyone's time.
I'm in charge. I get to stay as long as I want.
I'm just going to ask one more thing, because I don't know if it was I don't know if it was the primary or the special election. I don't think it was the special election. I don't know. I think it was either the primary or the last town election. You had a very funny line. We were talking about voter turnout, and you just kind of looked at me and said, pitiful. Tonight, with the midterm, how would you describe the turnout?
Congratulations, Merrimack. You outdid yourselves. You paid attention. I mean, all of those ads on TV, all of those flyers that some of you read, some of you just dumped in the trash. You paid attention, and you said this is worth getting out regardless of which side you were voting on. And sometimes you had crossovers, but you paid attention. You said it's important that I go out and I have a say in who's going to represent me at the federal, the state level.
That's great, and something I had said earlier tonight, and I think you'd agree with this. I was reminding our viewers that we have an election every year here in Merrimack. It's in April. Ahead of that's a deliberative session in March.
The town and school district election is every year.
Is every April. So I'm inviting you, the viewer, to attend a deliberative session in March.
Yes.
And
there are 2. There's the school district deliberative session.
Right.
And the town deliberative, and that's when you get to look at what the town council and the school board is proposing to put on the ballot. And those people that come to the deliberative session get to decide whether they go on the ballot or how they go on the ballot, or if they want them changed. They can be changed. Then at the election, you get to vote on all of those warrant articles that you talked about at the deliberative session.
So maybe over the next year we're gonna sit down with Lynn and Diane and once again talk about that process, because I think it's important that Merrimack residents understand that they can participate in the local democratic process. Every year the town and school has a municipal election.
And there are different flavors depending upon which town you're in. Even in Merrimack, if you go to the MVD, they have a deliberative session. They have an election, but theirs is all done the same night.
That's right.
So there's a couple of other flavors, and we've gone through most of them. So we are where we are now with ours.
Well, Lynn, we did it, and we did it before midnight. Congratulations to you, your staff, your team, and everything. We want to pack up. We want to go home.
Me too.
Okay, Lynn, thank you for all that you do.
Well,
and I just want to note that the last person standing in the room, besides our amazing custodian staff here at JMUS, Bill Boyd is here. So he's the last one. Actually, you can see him on the wide shot. Bill, you can wave to the camera right over there. There he is. So Bill's going to help us pack up.
Sounds good.
Thanks so much,
Thank you,
Lynn.
and thank you to Merrimack TV. You guys do a phenomenal job with all of your programming, not just elections.
Great. Thanks a
Thank
lot. And I think we can all agree, go Tomahawks this weekend in Londonderry. Let's beat those Lancers. Good night.